jump right on his head. They found who they need. That's a big shot down. He hooks himself back in. They want it. Kise's not here, but what was that? It's a pentakill. Go 1-for-1 into Schönfire, gets slammed into the wall to actually go to Olaf. There's the access shot, and he just pull up with it. Yeah, Moit tries, he might release the tempo active, but he can never find a second. Chippies is on an absolute tear right now.
Welcome to the LCO. We've got our bonus tiebreaker day today to close out the regular split. I got Rusty by my side. Do you remember what happened yesterday?
Nah.
Yeah, I didn't think so. See, you weren't on this couch. You had cast a break.
Yeah, on
so
that couch, I don't remember anything.
Yeah, you don't remember anything when you're on that other couch. So we're just going to roll the clips. We're going to see the highlights of what happened yesterday to close out our regular split.
Against Direwolf.
Decoy has such a good angle to start this part off. It's going to go in with that two-man Magnustorm first and foremost. The feathers get ripped on back, but not able to do enough. It's a triple kill for Prater. There is the Quadra, and there is the pentakill. If you can get onto Eiko, one more will do it. This is gone, as you say. Shaka's going to jump in with the ultimate, but that's about it. He's not really feigning an attempt to try and go for this one right now. As Bulldog tries to zone him back, but Shaka gets in, and he does somehow steal away the Baron. It looks for
way better from Kudo. Stuli now trying to defend this one.
Steadfast presses to try and knock them up. Actually flashing and knocking Rosie into the wall, so he's going to deny.
Dante tanking.
And it is going to be Dante dying as well.
Stuli's winning. Stuli's winning.
You madman. Is he going to 1v3 under this tower? Twisted advance is going to get it.
He stands still for another second. I swear to God.
He just dies to a Rakan of all things. He's saying they don't have a smite. We take this one.
Oh, Thomas.
And now Thomas tries to be the hero.
Oh.
He's going to try and 1v3.
But there's no jungler.
The Baron's
He can win this.
Second. He might win it all. Thomasino, what are you doing?
It's the
Oh, what a great day yesterday was. We had a lot of action, even though it resulted in some 2-0s. It still was a great one because Bliss Chiefs out there on top tied. But with those 2-0s of yesterday, no one else is tied for themselves. We have a very distinct third for Mammoth, fourth for Direwolves, fifth for Pentanet, sixth for Vertex, and then Ground Zero and Kanga, whilst they are tied, will not be making it to playoffs. So unfortunate run for them. We're not going to see them playing any more games in Split 2, but the other 6 teams I'm very excited to see going into playoffs, and even more so that tiebreaker, Rusty.
Yeah, it's crazy coming into the last week of the LCO. Like, the possibilities are genuinely endless. Like, you can't build up this plan for it. There's no foldy sheets available in best of 2s, but somehow we end up in this position where there was only one tie, and it is for first place. So you could say, like, while it's exciting to maybe see 6th versus 7th to get in, first versus second is so hype because it's potentially another finals preview that we get between our top 2 teams.
Yeah, I mean, you've secured yourself off a bracket, so there is a realm as well because they won't be playing each other in playoffs that they could be in that second round of playoffs. But today, it is going to be Bliss versus Chiefs. That's our whole schedule. We have dedicated all of Wednesday LCO to these 2 teams because they played earlier this week. Max, they went 1-1 on their record, and that does mean that they have to go up against each other yet again before playoffs.
Yes, hoping to settle the score, and like Rusty said, I imagine this is a matchup we will be seeing a lot of in the playoffs. We saw them rematch multiple times in Split 1, and I'm expecting this to be no different. 2 teams very far above the rest of the league, not only in points, but in terms of this caliber of gameplay we've seen from them as well. Just seeming incredibly consistent and reflected in the fact that neither of these teams have taken a single series loss this entire split.
Skimmy, how hyped are you for these 2 teams? You're like, you're borderline, you're just like, oh, you know, I'm hyped, but we could be seeing it over and over again. Like, where does it get a bit dull?
I mean, I'm always hyped. I'm always hyped for these matches. It's my job to be hyped, and if I'm not doing it, then why would the viewers care at home, right? So despite us seeing it umpteen times in Split 1, I'm keen to see it another 20 times in Split as well. And just hope, ultimately, the copium that I'm going to keep on huffing, it didn't work for MSI, but I really hope we can put in a much stronger showing going in for Worlds.
I think the fun thing about seeing 2 teams consistently facing off against each other is they start creating like their own meta of what's sort of being picked, what's going to be banned against them, and you kind of get into this niche niche realm where you're just forgetting big OP champs that other people are looking towards. But we can talk more in depth about, any face-offs that they might have, who their other opponents will be later at the end of the show. We're going to be going through the whole playoffs preview. We're going to be talking about our brackets. We're going to be talking about team matchups. All of that. It's going to be a fun time if you guys want to have that preview of playoffs before we do get there next week. But that's all the way at the end show, so you got to make sure that you stick with us all the way through today. The other thing that I want to bring to everyone's mind is for the grand finals. When it happens way down the track in a couple of weeks' time on July 30th, we have a watch party happening over at Fortress Sydney. So it's July 30th starting at 5:30 p.m. It is $12 entry, but that includes a free drink as well as a $150 prize for the best dressed and a League of Legends themed quiz. So a lot going on there. You can head over to the Discord for some details or lco.gg for, all the details, everything you ever want over there.
We'll be here, you'll be there, it'll be a great time.
We'll be here, you'll be there, and then we'll be there, and you'll be there.
True.
That's
After
right.
we were going to try and run there, I think Nat said yesterday. So
I think one suburb over
Yeah.
said
How
too
do you
much.
win the best dressed?
Ooh.
probably not. We'll
I
miss
would
the
say, I was
event.
going to say, surely that's picked before the finals is
Yeah.
played.
Tell
Unfortunately.
him to hold it. Wait, there's one last entry, and then Skinny rocks up in his Ezreal cosplay.
I thought you were going to say you in a cosplay.
No,
All right.
not my type of thing.
I mean, if you did show up in a cosplay, though, I'd give you MVP. And we could have a look at all the
You'd rock up in a
MVPs
set cosplay, I reckon.
Yeah.
that happened throughout this split, for the regular split. Let's see who tied for first, who got the most MVPs throughout all the series. Kisse and Dajong. They tied for first. They got 3 MVPs for themselves, so the mid lane is standing out. Even more mid laners making it up there. Daystar tying with second, along with BioPanther and Violet. So Bio doing it for the top laners, Violet doing it for the bot laners.
Yeah, I mean, someone has to hold it down for those roles, right? The one standout to me that I think is a major point of celebration, we saw them win yesterday as well, Dajong being in the MVP list here, right? He was always an MVP in all of his previous teams. Let's be completely honest here, right? And most valuable player. But to join Mammoth, have these players come around him that are strict upgrades in every single position to still be the MVP shows the caliber of what he can do when he's also supported, right? He's going above and beyond expectations.
I think it's more of a feat that Violet got tied second for MVPs. And this is going to sound like a BM, but stick with me, right? Pendon had a lot of tied series, which means he had to be put up against all other 5 players on the other team, as well as the 4 players on his team. So the fact he was able to pick up 2 MVPs for himself, tie it up with a Chiefs and a Bliss player, that's a big feat. Big props to him.
I think also surprising is the fact that Bio's up there. I mean, he's won MVP of the league before holistically, but the fact that a top laner is winning this, I can't stress enough how useless this role is in competitive in a majority of the metas, right? And to have 2 MVPs, there's a small sample size of games, right? Small sample size of series. So for him to be able to come out and say, okay, his impact in a role that's, not traditionally that impactful has been profound.
Yes.
Look, he had the perfect KDA. I mean, he's a bit of a beast.
Max and I just being the compliment sandwiches here. We're like, we'll say something nice, we'll say something a little bit mean, and then top it off with something nice again.
It's the truth.
It is.
Spoken like a true top laner.
Yeah, I was going to say, no one else could get away with it except for Max, considering you did play top lane competitively, so it does all make sense. We've seen a lot of comps, certain compositions, certain champions really winning over on this patch 13.12, especially this week. I want to say this is where it stood out the most solidified that there are specific champs that if you get your hands on them, it is like Exodia no matter who you are playing it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think we've got a look at one of those now that we're going to take up. Draft maxing with Max. This is basically my ideal draft, and Bliss drafted something very similar to that recently in the game versus the Chiefs. But basically, the whole focus of this draft is poke and non-committal engage, right? You have something. The core of this is the Jace Kai'Sa combo. We've seen this be so potent at just sitting on mid waves, throwing objectives at you. You can never start Baron, you can never start Dragon because they'll poke you out before the fight even starts. Combining that, you've got a Jax, very strong side lane. Jace as well can play in the 1-3-1. And then your jungle support, both able of providing this engage. It's not really full commit. You don't have to fully dive in. A Pyke, very mobile. Same with Rakan, can get in, get out. And Sejuani can just toss that ultimate for a bit of global pressure. So to me, this is something that if you're on red side, if you allow that Kai'Sa to go over and then get paired with the Jace, it just seems unstoppable.
Is the jungle sort of like whatever Sejuani is just the one that
I was
going
going
to
to say the Maokai as well,
Maokai.
obviously
Yeah, okay,
interchangeable,
that's-
much like you can obviously interchange the supports as well. Maybe there's an argument to be made, like, the Jax feels that split pushing role, maybe a Camille, but Jax just a little bit stronger in that position overall.
All right, that makes sense. And if you were to, let through that Jace, let through that Kai'Sa, let's say you just run out of bans, maybe there's more niche champions that you have to pick off because they're OP in certain player hands. How would you counter that one, Rusty?
Yeah, it's a tough question, right? So a couple of the ways that you approach a poke composition traditionally is you can counter it by engaging and just don't let them poke, don't give them a chance to do their job. So, you know, champions like Malphite, Vi, Ari, and Rel are all very capable of doing that. Aphelios also with the purple weapon can add a lot at level 6 to find those engage angles, doesn't have to be committal. I think that Rel could also be an Alistar, I think that Malphite could also be an Ornn, and I also think that mid lane, if they're not going to be picking the Jace, you could also be an Orianna, right, if they go for an Annie instead. So this is, for me, this is the comp that I would pick because it's flexible, but also has very clear conditions that can beat that Jace, that Kai'Sa style of play. Jace also doesn't win lane against a Malphite, so you could flex that to mid lane potentially and stack armor early and just feel real comfortable about yourself.
And I think this is, in terms of gameplay-wise, the big issue that's been run into with the composition of poke is just people aren't pulling the trigger beforehand. They're sort of starting in Baron, staring at them for 20 seconds and being like, okay, all of our carries are suddenly 1/3 HP, we can't fight, right? So to me, you draft a comp like this, it's very much, okay, we're going and we're going as soon as we see them.
Yeah, Vertex yesterday played a composition into the Jace Kai'Sa. They locked in Victor Braum as their last 2 champions, and would you believe it? Braum can stop poke, but can't stop the constant poke with the potential engage that these compositions have, which is what makes it so deadly.
You're going to be decisive then. You're going to be a team that's willing to just do it. You can't stand around and let it yourselves get poked down. So I do believe that, you know, if any team is going to be able to dismantle that consistent poke, it is going to be Bliss, it is going to be Chiefs. They're 2 teams that we've always coined as being very decisive in what they want to engage in, what they want to trade, where they're able to give map space and not give it away at all. So it'll be interesting to see if it gets through at all today. The other thing that we wanted to ask you guys, we want to hear a little bit more about from you guys is with ranked resetting, share us your ranked stories or experiences using hashtag LCO. I do believe there's been some submissions from our fans. I don't know how this is going to go, right? It could be real positive. It could be a troll. It could be anything.
Oh, it's in caps. I wonder if that's intentional from him.
Deadly G said, first game of the year, I play my main. Get a penta. Whoa, okay. And an additional quadra. We lose the game because my team decided to int. So I end up and a 35-minute game with 24 kills and 56k damage as a loss.
I've got something to say here. If you manage to lose a game, you get a pentakill and a quadra kill, it's not your team's fault. That's all I'm saying.
Oh.
Why?
How can you get a pentakill and a quadra kill and you lose? Like, surely
you have
thrown
Renekton bots sprinting.
You've violently thrown the game.
I mean, you have AI bots on your team. You're not going to win that, right?
Would you say that to Violet after he lost the game with his penta?
Oh, yeah. No, I wouldn't say that, actually. I take it back.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Don't worry, I got you, Deadly G. Okay, I got you. Max sort of backtracking over there. Let's see if there's another ranked story here. First ranked game, never played with draft rules. Normal games were always blind. I see the swap champion icon, click it, and I am first timing Rakan in ranked. We lost.
Absolutely baited by the buttons. Such an ADHD thing to do, though.
You're just like, oh, it's shiny.
Yeah.
Oh, we lose.
Oh, anyway,
Oopsies.
GG's.
Oh, well.
FF15. All right, another story. Can we pull that one up? Hey, we've all been baited by the shiny buttons.
Yes.
All right, I think Max has done enough talk about my ranked experience on this broadcast.
What was that ranked experience again, Max? I
That
don't
was
remember.
the 500 games D4 50% win rate gaming was what happened. But, you know, everyone's got their own battles. Everyone has their own hills to climb. And you're all at your own stage in your personal journey. So don't get disheartened by a minor setback.
And his hill is currently you. You're the issue
I'm
right
kicking
now.
him down the hill,
Yeah.
but it's still a hill nonetheless.
What is that, like a mythology? The one where he's like pushing the massive boulder up the
Sisyphus?
hill? Yeah, and every time he gets to the top, it rolls back down and he has to do it like 1,000 times
I was
over.
thinking of
You were the-
300, to be
Oh,
honest. The
okay.
Spartan kick instead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking that's his punishment, to have to push up this boulder, and Max is just standing there being like, nah, bro, it's only
D3, D4, D2, D4, D3, D4. That's just
He
how
is
it
the
goes.
gatekeeper.
He is the gatekeeper. If you guys like submitting certain things like this from the fan segment, if you like having your say, then there's something else you can have your say in. I need your help. It is for a new segment coming up next week, LCO Household Hassle. Exclamation mark hassle in chat. It is a little bit of a Google form. There's about 20 odd questions, but trust me, they're all fun. They're all exciting. You can have a little bit of troll, a little bit of meme, put in your answers, and have a sort of featured part in next week's playoff with these questions and your answers. So please, if you know anyone else that is a League main, anyone that plays League of Legends, you can pass this quiz on to them. The more answers, the better. Trust me. It'll be a very exciting segment.
That's all we can do now. We can trust you because we don't know anything. So we're just
Yeah.
trusting you as well.
Yeah, no one send any of it to Rusty, Skimmy, or Max. They're not allowed to know the question.
If you love Champion Conundrum, you want to get amongst that.
Yes.
Is basically what we're getting at,
yeah,
right?
that's a good way to sell it.
Yeah.
That is.
We love those segments. We enjoy them. I'm sure you enjoy playing along with us. So get amongst it and make it as best as it can be.
Yeah, 100%. Let's move on, though. Let's talk about this matchup because Bliss Chiefs, there's a lot that we can say despite the fact that we've seen them be playing for the past 6 weeks. They versed each other earlier this week. They went 1-1, which is the reason why they are tied, why we're doing this tiebreaker between them. And we've got Kevy in this best-of-1 starting lineup for Chiefs.
And this was the debate we were having last week. We were saying, okay, this is the series. You have to start whichever jungler you want. They started Babip, then flipped to Kevy. They got the win, right? So if you look purely based on results, it makes sense to sub Kevy in. But I think stylistically as well, he made such a difference in terms of the action that he got in early on the map, right? He was hammering that top side. Liv was unable to play the game, and then linking with Kiss A to find these kills in these skirmishes. They just seem a lot more explosive and a lot more unpredictable with Kevy on the map.
Yeah, for me it was an Olaf lane. You heard from Tron yesterday in our interviews. He said you have to gank your Olaf. You have to prevent him from having resources on the map, and Kevy plays accordingly. And it's not that Babip doesn't do that, right? And we also heard from other interviews that Babip could also carry. So there's reasons for both of them. But what we saw from Kevy yesterday was really positive. And I think was a good return to form for him, perhaps personally, and could be a very positive thing for Chiefs as a whole moving towards playoffs.
Yeah, we spoke to Kevin and he said as well, like him and Kisei, they have that sort of history together. It's not so much that Kisei and Babip don't have it, it's just that they're very strong when it comes to that. So I do believe that rotations might come a little bit smoother. It's not hard calls that need to be made. It is just this unspoken shared one brain cell of we have to do this, we know, and so let's execute it. And it was a really great standing and display when Kevy stepped in there. But on the other side, Bliss, they got themselves the win. They got that first win, and it was amazing for them. So their lineup lived. Why not? Daystar, Lemus, and Arkia showing up, and Arkia picking something a little bit out of the box that a lot of us weren't expecting for a 5th lock-in.
Yeah, maybe a tad egotistical, but it worked out beautifully for me. The fact that the Pike came out to play in a matchup where you're thinking that blind seems like a bit of a draft sin, but ultimately the composition, much like Max was demonstrating beforehand, was all about the harass. They got online so quickly, which meant that the mid game became that much of a nuisance. And you just saw the control that both Lived and Arkia had on countless opportunities where they're jumping in, feigning a leap, a counter striker, a bone skewer, left, right, and center. Anybody gets too low from the Jason Kaiser poke, there is that death and blow, there is that execution. It forces situations like this also where Aladoric is pretty stuck between a rock and a hard place and thinking, okay, I'll be going in, am I dead? What is the play here? And on multiple occasions, running a double AD carry setup with the Tristana in the mid lane for the Chiefs, they have the damage, they have the ability to shred down Barons, which is exactly what they did. They just didn't get given the time to actually DPS what was in front of them, just landlocked with so much CC.
And to me, Bliss look at their best when they're constantly pushing the agenda, right? Even in this game that's currently on your screens, the Chiefs did get 2 Barons, they had their opportunities, but still Bliss were the ones to keep up the tempo, constantly looking for fights. And I think that as a team, they are able to consistently catch you out, right? Sure, you can play one fight correctly, but can you play 5, 6? Because they're constantly going to be pressuring you at every single angle.
Yeah, and that could have been the downfall in game number 2, but also the uprising in game number 1 for themselves. Did you ever find the answer to your question, by the way, Rusty, of which support was better, Arkia or Aladoric? You asked Max and I.
Not really, hey. like they both, like Arkia played an odd champion to actually contrast them in lane. It didn't really get to happen. I feel like Aladoric was playing very well though in that series, so it's still hard to, I'm more excited for the following matches now if they were going, their wins were both fairly even in how well they played individually. So.
Do you have more of an answer, Max, for it?
Aladoric played better in their last series. I think Arkia's Pike pick was a bit, like you said, of an ego pick, and he did play it as such. He didn't really find the value that he'd be hoping for there. And Aladoric is someone you can't disrespect, right? His Alistar is known for a reason, and I think that if you're going in with the mindset of, okay, it's an O support, I'm just going to walk all over him, that's just not going to happen.
Well, let's put the supports to the side for a little bit because we want to talk to the top laners. We're going to start off with Chiefs top laner, BioPanther. He's on the call. Bio, how are you feeling? You guys, you had to pull out the tiebreakers. You had to be tied for first yet again. So does the pressure of a best of 1 get to you, or you're not really thinking about that it's only 1 game?
I prefer more games. I think just playing the game is always fun, so to me, I don't mind. I think this will just be first and second, but I think it's just all about improvement for playoffs, and that's all that matters right now.
And speaking of more games, Bio, you've played a lot of them against Bliss. So I want to hear from you. We heard from your team on Monday as well. This is a familiar matchup, but what do you think your strengths, weaknesses, etc. are against Bliss?
I think our biggest weakness is that like we try and just overreach all the time. We always just try and get more and more instead of just like playing the map. Just be willing to trade. We always just like to fight everything, and it's kind of our downfall most of the time. But if we're willing to give sometimes and like play on our timers, I think we just get more success. And I think. I guess our biggest strength is just our team fighting. I think we just play for each other. Like I always just play to block for my teammates. I always just play like how our composition works, and I think just as a team we just play as a team. So I think that's our biggest strength.
Are these strengths and weaknesses that you've noticed over the last 6 weeks, or was this it became very prominent when you had your 1v1? When you went 1-1 with Team Bliss earlier in the week?
I think it's something that we've been like ever since coming back into Split 2. It's just something that like we were just always overreaching all the time, and I think that once we just get in like the back foot a little bit, then we kind of just like lose our like our hustle, I guess. But I think if we just play our game, get control, I think we're just still the best team in the region.
Brennan, I have a simple question. Do
Sure.
you guys feel nerves anymore? Like, are you at all nervous? Because you've got so much experience there.
I still get nervous. Like, I think right now I feel nervous. I don't think it does anything, but like I think it's just always nice to have. I think it's just like it's human nature, I think, and I think that it's a powerful tool, and if you can use it properly, I think it's going to be a huge benefit for me. So
Is it
I don't
Bliss that makes you the most nervous though? Like, is that the one team that gets you?
no, it's just that like the fact that I just don't like losing. I just always want to like prove myself. I always want to show that I'm the best, and I think like losing is just something that I just physically can't enjoy, I guess.
Do you feel that you dwell a little bit on losses, or are you guys a team that you're able to bounce back really quickly? Like, obviously, you don't want to think about like, oh, if we lose this, best of one, what's going to happen? But it's just more in general when it comes out, when you have these draws, and when you do lose a game or a series, is it really hard to bounce back, or the environment doesn't really foster that?
I think losing is a good thing. It kind of like humbles you a little bit, because sometimes like when you're on like the top all the time, it's really hard to just see all your flaws. And I think that like when we did lose, I think it's just like a big wake up call for everyone that like we still have a lot of things to improve. And like even if we might be like the favorites heading into like playoffs, I feel like every game is just something we can improve on. And I guess I enjoy the losses as well. I'm not really like demoralized by it. It's just that like I just don't like to lose. So.
Awesome. And I want a really weird sort of random prediction from you, but how long do you reckon this game will go? Give me a rough minute mark to the nearest minute.
Probably like 29 minutes.
Okay. All right.
I don't want it to be too long.
All right. I'll take note of that one. Hold you to it. But good luck for now, Via Panther. And thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
See ya. See, I was expecting him to turn around and be like, actually, it's Rusty's interviews that make me the most nervous.
Surely not, man. We play games together all
His
the time.
answers,
There's no
though,
way.
about nerves. Far out
Yeah.
actually
It's a
swooning over
powerful
here.
tool.
Oof.
Yeah.
He just like envisions his body as like my mind's nervous and like I just have to churn through them, and what I put out is like these absolute like insane Giga Chad plays on the Rift. I'm like, okay, bro.
I feel like I've been on my phone for too long. I'm just scrolling through reels, and I suddenly ended up on like
He's writing a
Inspo,
dissertation.
Inspo Fitness. Get in the gym. What are you doing? You're like, okay, Biopan for far out. Like,
Starts with
I'm ready.
success.
No, I 100% agree. It's always nice to hear Bio, and I do like his takes on those losses, how they're able to bounce back for the team. So you can sometimes worry that a team that's always winning, when you do get that loss, like how are you able to come out? How are you able to make it a positive? But by what he's saying, it's very easy for the Chiefs team.
I mean, he's played forever, so he would have taken his fair share of losses. And I think that when you are a champion team, the question is, can you maintain your confidence above everything else? Take the learnings and say, okay, well, this is just a blip on the radar. We're not getting disheartened. And I think very much from their performance in Game 1 compared to Game 2, they're certainly a team that's capable of bouncing back.
Yeah, we'll see if they bounce back hard enough, though, to take this best of one. Another person that we will eventually be talking to is obviously on the side of Bliss, and it's Lived, the top laner over there. Lived, how are you feeling for this best of one against Chiefs? It decides first and second.
Yeah, pretty exciting. I think a bit of a fun match the other day, so be good to be back already.
Do you think it's going to hit you guys hard if you lose and you come into playoffs as second, or you're just like, hey, we're up a bracket, we're going to have to verse them, we're going to have this rematch if we want to make it to PCS, so it is what it is?
Yeah, obviously it doesn't mean that much, but, always a bit of a rivalry between us, so it would be nice to have that, be one above them a little bit, just going down.
What do you think your edge is, though, Liv, against this team? Because it feels like you're getting the upper hand a little bit more against Chiefs more as time passes. What's your edge?
I think, they're definitely a lot more experienced, I would say, than the rest of us, so I think that's like the longer we're together, I think the stronger we become. You know, it's just that we're scaling. You know, we're scaling IRL. So the longer we stick around, the less chance they've got.
Let him cook. I want to hone in a little bit more about this top lane matchup. You're coming up against Bio, someone who's been a professional player for ages. You know, it dates back even before the LCO. So for you, what sort of growth have you made, not only on Bliss, but for individually compared to Split 1, that you think you stand more of a chance against him now in Split 2?
I think honestly we've probably got like the most boring lane. I think there isn't like too much to improve on. I think in OS it's a bit hard considering there's not many like strong top laners. You can kind of like I'd say we're like the two strongest, but we don't like we're not like aggressive laners, I would say. So we kind of just like sit back and play for the team mostly, I would say. So I think it's kind of hard to improve unless you verse actually better players, in my opinion.
I've seen your Fiora lived. Come on, mate. That's pretty
Bring that
aggressive.
Fiora back.
Yeah.
True. I've been watching the LPL players. I've been seeing it's the Taiwanese. They're good.
Actually, speaking of playing for the team though, Liv, we've seen the Kai'Sa Jace from you guys a lot. We've seen Why Not's tweets of just blocking in Maokai for the 19th time again. We've added Kai'Sa to that list of champions in the comp. Do you think it's actually just turbo broken? Because like Jace is only 50% globally picked.
I do think it is quite strong. I think there's like a lot of ways you can play it, so I would say it's very strong pick in the current meta. Yes.
Do you think that's just the meta or the OS meta? Like, do you think this particular comp just blasts OS?
Hard to tell since I am in OS, but
True.
I think I think overall, even worldwide, I do think it's quite strong.
Okay.
I got one last question. What are some key takeaways or learnings that you had from the best of 2 you guys had earlier this week against Chiefs? Was there anything that you've really worked on, or you know, there's not too much?
Well, you know, I realized that like ganking top is still a thing, so you know, I'll probably respect that a bit more next time.
I feel like that's a pretty key takeaway. I love that answer, Liv. Thank you so much for joining us, and good luck today.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
He's got a very good point. It was a 0-5 last game. Yeah.
Trinkets exist. Ganking top still very present. Is able to happen in a game of League of Legends.
Didn't we hear in the interview after the match, they were like, yeah, we said it, but we didn't really consider it. Yeah.
Well, and this is one of the points that I wanted to make about like Kevy coming in, because BioPanther never gets ganks. Like literally probably the least ganked for, I don't know if there's a statistic about this, but probably the least ganked for player in the entire league. He's so often let alone on an island that when you suddenly are getting ganked level 3, level 4, level 5, it can just take teams completely off guard.
Yeah, I want to see if that's something that they're going to implement a lot more when they have Kevy for themselves, if it was just that comp that they really wanted to try it with. Like, it is just something that's going to be explored more for the Chiefs, I feel, and so I look forward to the direction that gets taken. But let's see what happened for side select. Let's see who's going to be playing on what side to Chiefs.
Feels empty today.
Just
the one
match.
match.
Just one.
The one
Just
side
the one.
select.
I will say the TLDR of why Chiefs got the side pick is because
Oh, here we go.
the team that they
Lost
to was higher on the ladder rankings than the team that Bliss lost to.
Yes.
That's all you really need to know. That's why
They have
Chiefs.
one more overall season point. That's what matters.
Yeah. Ignore what Rusty said. All you need to know. No, I'm joking. So
Cool.
Sweet.
Cool.
next time, give it to yourself.
Why am
that's
I
why.
here?
That's why Chiefs.
Come back over here,
This
mate.
couch is cursed.
Warm and
No,
fuzzy on this side,
I'm
mate.
sorry. That was mean. That's why they picked up blue side for themselves. I didn't even look at what side they
They
picked.
picked red. They picked red, and this is actually interesting because when we went through this whole Kai'Sa Jace narrative, it's very much dependent on having that
Redux is
blue
like,
side first.
Idiot.
We'll save for Akali, right?
Yeah.
They did it for the
Look, my
Akali in that last
feedback.
game.
My feedback for production is next time it's red side, right in red. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yes,
so
back to
yeah,
our
so
points.
the Akali came in last pick in the series that they actually won.
Yep.
Traditionally, you've been seeing it go towards Aladoro, but in that second game, decide, you know, actually, I'm just going to lock it in blind and sort of, you know, not really care what Arcea goes for. So I'm really curious to see if that's actually going to change that much today.
And yeah, the question for me is, I think they banned Jace in that series as well to
Yep.
negate the Jace Kai'Sa combo. If they're happy to do the same and just run it back, right? They
The Jax ban as well, I believe.
Yeah, it was
Yep.
the winning formula that they found, and I think that having that counter pick in your solo lane, particularly mid, is so valuable because as we've highlighted throughout the split already, Daystar versus Kisei 1 and 2 in everything, either of them can
I
be
can
the
tell you
difference
exactly
maker.
what was banned if you want. You're talking about in game number 2 for Chiefs.
I have it here as well, actually, Nat. I do believe it was Jace, LeBlanc, Nico, Jax, and one other pick that I didn't have written down.
Wasn't that order, but yeah. It was Nico LeBlanc, Jace, Jackson, Fiora.
Wrong.
They bet
Wrong.
Fiora.
Yeah, they did.
That's interesting.
That was
is
in that game
really
too.
interesting to me.
Yeah. You pretty much had it though. Nice work, Max.
Thanks, Nat.
So what we need is we need Liv to play Fiora, and then we need to somehow time travel back to when Biofem was playing for Order, and he's now playing like Tryndamere
Yeah.
and all the other carries,
Yeah.
and we're going, okay, things getting a little bit spicy in top lane again.
Or a Lowy. Just pick a Lowy into
True.
the Jax matchup. That's
the
what we
Jax
want.
matchup is good.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Hey, this is where you could pull out some spice, but if you don't believe in the spice, if you believe it's going to be some stock standard League of Legends and you favor Bliss over Chiefs, then have your say. Let it be known in our Dare fan vote. It's up there in the top right-hand corner for you guys. Use those channel points. Put it all on the line, actually. Go pure
in.
high roller.
100%.
All in. All in on the team that you want to pick.
Rude not to.
It would be.
Yeah.
Would you guys do it?
I would.
Yeah.
I have
have
done
none.
so in the past.
Have you?
Back when I was not full-time casting, I lost an awful amount of channel points on all-inning Mammoth when they were still like the 0 and 20 team.
You really
So
believe.
don't recommend that.
So don't actually
That
do
is
that.
commendable.
All right, well, who would you guys go all in for? Let's see what our predictions are for this tiebreaker. I went for Bliss, Max and Skimmy, that couch in unison going for Chiefs. Rusty, are we on the same page?
Yes, we are.
Pleasure doing
It's
business.
a couch
Pleasure
couch, isn't
doing
it?
Yep.
business. Couch be couch.
Okay.
Casters be panelists.
Or semi-panelists. He's more the caster than me, if
That's,
anything.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, true.
But-
This is a
But to explain my
Imposter.
rationale, right?
Speak for the both of us.
The last game that this roster of Chiefs played against this roster of Bliss, on the red side, they won. And I think that Kevy coming in, yes, he looked shaky throughout the start of the split, but I think right now he's looking great, and I think that they're not going to be able to keep up with the pace that Chiefs are able to play with.
See, my TLDR is I think Bliss bounced back harder than Chiefs.
Bliss are better.
Yep.
We're a
That's
better
all-
debate team. That's a very flawed argument.
They're
Hey,
better.
Champ Select is ready.
we don't have the time. I was gonna say we
Champ
don't have the
Select is
time
ready.
to go fully into this because Champ Select is ready.
Wrong.
We just want to see the game. Let's get into this best of one tiebreaker between Bliss and Chiefs.
Let's get ourselves ready then and
There it
kick
is.
off what could be yet another matchup. Not certainly the last to be seen between these heavyweights in the region. It's Bliss on the left-hand side, locking themselves in with the Kaiser. No surprises that the Jace is denied once more. That Tristana, which was prolific in their last meeting, one game in mid, the second in bot lane, that's been denied by their opposition.
Yeah, Jay's taken away, but interestingly, Poppy as well, from the side of Bliss being banned away. This is something that, you know, has risen to popularity, particularly in that top lane, just providing a lot of counter-engage, right? So if Bliss are saying, we want to take this away, perhaps looking at more indexing into that explosive skirmish heavy with that Kaiser who's able to dive the backline. That being said, very non-committal pick. Liv highlighted it, how versatile this pick can be. Can play from long range, can be that explosive dive threat. So still a lot of room in Bliss for the draft.
You certainly can obviously go for the AP route with the full poke, or just go your more conventional lethal tempo style AD carry. The Zaya gets locked in, and Kevy's going to make it 2 from 2 on the Viego. If it's not been denied, he expected it to be denied in the last meeting. If that's up and available, it is a surefire lock-in.
All right, Maokai or Sejuani, what are we flipping the coin on? Why not picking this time? Haven't checked Twitter, so I don't have any evidence there. But you would imagine he's played it in 90% of his games. It's going to be one of those two champions, combined with, you know, perhaps a solo laner. The Kasante still up and available for Lived if he were to play that. It's actually going to be the Kindred. That is as far away from Maokai and Sejuani as you can get. But saying that, okay, I'm going to go toe-to-toe with Kevy. I'm going to provide the Lamb's respite so he's not able to get the resets, and instead play a bit more of this prolonged DPS-focused team fights.
Absolutely, must be locked out of his Twitter account, so he's actually got to log in with a different champion here today. Kindred's going to be exciting if they are expecting Chiefs to be very explosive. So he does have the tools to try and deny a lot of those resets, primarily obviously for the Viego. But the Rakan left up and available. Aladorok being, I want to say, the best in the region.
Yep.
Is going to look to try and showcase what he can do with the Lovers duo. Debating on it for the meantime. But we've seen it in many cases, yeah. Steamroll and really take over the game.
I mean, he never gets this right. This is almost so often a must ban against the Chiefs because he has been so prolific on it. Teams are constantly scared of the way that he threatens and flanks engages. And already having that Zyra Rakan duo is such a potent 2v2 combo. And now, because you can ban supports like the Nautilus, maybe perhaps an Alistar ban to come out too,
Sure.
it just makes it such a great laning phase. And then in the mid game, we've seen what they can do.
No, we certainly can. And obviously the tax has to go towards another one of those champions, which was ever present. It was Kisei on the Akali, went to double digits and really didn't take over the game and make it his own. So the Akali is unavailable on this occasion. Bear in mind, it is a best of one, right? So you are looking to try and remove as much as you can to give yourself the best chance. But nothing too cheesy has come to mind just yet. Perhaps still waiting to see what those 4-5s could look like. The Leona instead of the Alistair, just looking to try and limit as much hard impact as opposed to the disengagement.
Yeah, look, Leona obviously a great pick into Rakan. The fact that she can cancel the W there, that mechanic makes it quite hard for Rakan to play the lane. Question for me though, Skimmy, this is a 4P. Jax is open. Bio's played it in the past. You're looking at a Kindred, Cassante, Kai'Sa, all champions it loves playing into, but instead perhaps going to opt for a bit more safe option here with the Renekton, saying, okay, I'm just going to play for that guaranteed prio, play more for my Viego to be able to get those guaranteed resets for him in those fights.
It certainly is. It's a matchup we've seen commonly across the split in the 6 weeks that have gone by. The matchup with Renekton as well as that Cassante, as they certainly do wrestle for control of that lane and look to try and assist their junglers as best as they can. It's the Ahri coming out to play, as well as the Blitzcrank. And it's a massive deviation from the norm from them, but it's a huge pick comp.
I mean, this is a very high execution draft from Bliss here, right? Looking at their team composition, what is their engage? They have an Ahri Charm and a Blitzcrank hook, and that is about it, right? So if these skill shots aren't landing, they're going to look absolutely hopeless. But that being said, on the inverse, they do have so many opportunities to throw out those CC, throw out those hooks, and find picks before fights start. And it's going to be the Lissandra locked in as the 5P for Chiefs. This is a very stable pick, loves playing into champions that are diving on top of you, like this Ahri, like this Cassante, and hopefully able to absorb a lot of the pressure that Bliss are putting out.
Absolutely, really want to welcome that attention towards yourself and lay down that frozen tomb, either on yourself or on the opposition, and try and deny their chain of events. And for me at least, it is that double reset comp found from your mid and jungle, claiming souls, spawning souls, and making sure that if Bliss do make that one wrong step, then they will just superiorly come out on top in the team fights.
Yeah, and really Chiefs have a very short range comp as well, right? If you're looking at that, if perhaps it was to be the AP Kai'Sa, they do run the risk of getting completely out in range, right? To me, it's going to come down to these Herald fights that have a very strong level 6 timing with the Lissandra, with the Renekton and Viego, able to blow one target up. But if Bliss are able to weather that, we always talk about Kindred needing to get her marks. If they're able to use the Ahri as a tool to move Kindred around the map, they can get her going, they can get one off on the right foot.
So you can, and we've seen what a Kindred can do when it does get rolling, and suddenly 8 marks come online, you're just 1v9 at that point, right? You are that insurance policy of a second AD carry threat, which does have the tools to survive and really deny a lot of what the Chiefs have put together, given that you said so short range, so explosive in their nature to try and find those kills and really get the ball rolling, and it is such a big deviation away. But we have seen Why Not play this before he decided to descend into a madness of, just Maokai Sejuani on repeat. He wants to showcase his mechanics again.
And his creative pathing as well. This is something Wano was credited for, a lot during his debut split, was the way he moves around the map. Always seems like he's moving in very efficient ways. And on Kindred, you have so many more opportunities for invades to happen. That being said, looking at his lanes, he doesn't really have the best setup, right? Your Renekton is going to get prio into your Cassante, same in the bot lane. Because you have Blitzcrank, it's so based on your hook that if you miss that, you essentially forfeit all prio. The only point you can really see is the mid lane, so that's to me where I'm going to be looking for Team Bliss to make moves around, because Daystar can take that prio and can move around the map early on.
Certainly can. Extended range into that of the Lissandra. And if that results in them finding first move, then it could certainly be devastating. And Blitzcrank, one of those champions I always find so interesting, much like a Malphite, right? Doesn't matter how far behind they are, as long as they land that one crucial hook or an ultimate, whatever it may be, their impact is intangible. Certainly can be game deciding. Let's load into the Rift then. It is a tiebreaker occurrence here. Both teams locked in first place. It wasn't decided the other day, and it has to be decided tonight. One single game to figure out who will take first and second seed. As we look forward to the playoffs of all 6 teams secured. It's a chance to see just how much they're willing to showcase here tonight.
Absolutely, and level 1 versus Kindred, a very important time whenever you are up against that champion. You can already see wards coming out from both teams. Both junglers' location going to be known, and this is really important to avoid any potential level 2 invades that a Kindred might pose, right? The longer you can keep that game nice and standard, let your Viego get through his first couple clears and begin to link up with his mid laner, with his support who can really set him up, you're feeling good for the Chiefs.
Let's see then how the spot lane is going to function, because it is going to be Eladoric right on cue, jumping in very aggressively to start things off with no level 2 just yet for the Chiefs. They are looking to try and be the ones in the driving seat though, to make sure that comes on through. First hook for Arkia. Not going to be finding anything just yet.
And this is what I mean about this being such a feast or famine lane, right? You see him use that Q. He's essentially useless, right? What does he do? He's going to hit you with a 50 damage auto attack. That concedes all prio to the sides of the Chiefs, right? If they want to shove this wave in, they want to go ward Krugs, ward Red, the opportunity is there, right? And it makes tracking this Kindred so much easier because you have these early prio lanes.
Level 2 now online, and with a double ignite setup for both supports, certainly is going to be a lot of kill threat available for them if a fight were to occur. Main difference between the early carries, cleanse for Limes on his Kaiser. He's running the Hail of Blades, which you would say indicates that the AP poke build is certainly in the works, as opposed to the Ghost picked up by Raze on their Zarya. Quick checking with the top lane, and as to be expected is the push there from Biopemper, where a fairly sizable advantage. It's a massive wave that Liv can collect underneath that tower.
Would be interesting to check in whether he's opted for the demolish route. We saw a couple times when Renekton's playing lanes that he doesn't really interact with directly. He just goes demolish. He plays basically PvE, where he just shoves waves in, crashes them, goes proxies and hits plates. So Bio, not the most lane dominant player, but Wino is showing bot lane. Hook is available, Skimmy.
It certainly is, but he doesn't have the overcharge to run quick enough, but it just doesn't matter, Max. It just does not matter. Raze did not anticipate it, held his nerve, held every summoner, and will fall on down for first blood.
I mean, you just have to say that's overconfidence, right, from Raze. He thought he could dodge it. He doesn't. Ends up going down for first blood and into the hands of Why Not. Nonetheless, Scuttlecrab going to be picked up by the Chiefs. Here goes Arkia.
Looking for more because Why Not's got Kevy marked. They're looking to try and hunt him down. The hook was so close to connecting. And if they get 2 kills that early on, this game is certainly put on the back burner.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevy counting his lucky stars there. He's able to get out. Arkia almost predicting the flash there. But Kevy will get the Scuttlecrab. And going back to that initial bot play, that was a window you have to feel like was expected, right? It's around that time of where you are expecting a gank from Kindred. Speaking of ganks, though, Lived is very low mana. Wave crashing in, Skimmy. He's got a couple biscuits. That's not going to do too much.
He's going to be careful here because Kiste is certainly looking to try and Frozen Claw himself into the waiting arms of a fight. He's going to tank up one turret shot for good measure. The Demolish proc is active, as you say, but it is going to be a TP to try and back him up. But Lived is living, and Lived is living. They are just killing. He's baited. He's received a TP from his star mid laner, who just rocks on up to get himself a kill.
Diving into Cassante W absolutely sucks, and Chiefs learned that the hard way there. Kevy going to bear the sins of his team. They're going for that dive. I think as soon as you see that TP come through, you should just run away from the dive, but we see it here once again. Lived actually has the biscuits, so his mana pool's quite deceptive, able to actually cast this W. Stun comes through, not empowered importantly, and the Viego W misses because Liv channels his W through the Lissandra CC. So able to avoid that, and then Kevy goes down at the end of it. So Team Bliss already getting off to a great start with this early game comp.
It's the perfect start, absolutely. The fact that your Cassante has been able to hold his own in a matchup where he is getting pushed in there by the Renekton, that your Blitzcrank has found success to empower your jungler. And your star mid laner, in a matchup you're saying could certainly look to try and dictate the tempo of this one, has got himself on the ball with that first use of the TP. 5 minutes in, you're feeling pretty happy.
Interesting as well that Daystar's gone for the Merc treads here, saying, okay, I don't really care about how much damage I'm dealing as long as I survive. And, you know, not having the cleanse versus Lissandra, a very smart option, right? Saying that, okay, as long as I don't die, I'm going to be able to use my Spirit Rush to link up with Why Not, and that's where I'm going to be finding my value. So taking a more selfless route instead of the usual nuclear Ahri build.
Absolutely. Wants to deny all that CC, and that magic resistance is going to make you feel pretty tanky at this early point in the game. Both supports going to trade blows here. Nothing really going to happen from the side of Chiefs to contest that. Drake is going to go the way of Why Not, as Bliss get themselves on the board there with the very first objective of this game. And once again, we find ourselves at a bit of a impasse. Super split down the middle.
Very even fan vote, and I think reflecting a lot of our own predictions as Kisse takes that claw. I don't know if he necessarily wanted to do that, but gets level 6 as Hook. So close from missing, and every single one of those with Why Not in the area becomes a significant threat for death, but Why Not might have overstepped.
Yes, he has. He's flashed preemptively into the grand entrance. I don't believe he's got away with that one. It seems almost illegal. The fact that Raze opens up with the Ghost, and Aladoric has read the jungler like a book. But they get away.
And yes, he flashes into the grand entrance, but crucially, he creates enough distance between him and Kevy, who is channeling that Spectral more, right? Viego having no flash, if he had it, potentially could have caught up that distance, but Why Not saying, okay, as long as I'm far enough away from the Viego, there's no further CC to come through. But already we can see how much attention has been giving to this bot lane, and rightly so, because a single Rakan W landing on the right person, Arkia has no flash, right? Why Not now losing that summoner as well? Very volatile down in this bottom half of the map.
We certainly saw just how much of an impact that game 2 meant in this series when Limus was put so far behind despite playing the Kaiser once again. Wants to make sure that they do have the laning agency and that they are a point of focus. The Moby Boot's actually going to come out here from Arkia. Saw it from the Alistair last game. We're going to see it from the Blitzcrank this time around. Whether or not that means they are feeling confident enough just to go on a bit of a mission around the world and find picks elsewhere, and that's exactly what he's doing right now, redeploying to mid.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be a nuisance on the map with this Moby Boots, but Aladoric is someone from watching the Chiefs game burst Bliss back. He's always around mid lane at the right timings, right? Whenever he comes off base, you can almost automatically assume he's going to be pairing up with Kisei, getting vision, providing avenues for his mid laner to play. His hook's on, but there's not very much damage, Skimmy.
It's an easy disengage across the wall to the safety of his teammate there.
Yeah, the Merc Treads and Mobility Boots combo you're going against isn't going to really one-shot you. You're not really too worried about that. You do start to worry now that Why Not's here, though. This is where your DPS can come through. But for now, it looks like Chiefs have got the start on Herald. It looks like they've got the edge here.
Starting things up on a Scuttlecrab vision, so Bliss well aware that this is going down, but not really showing any clear signs of a fight for that one. They just want to get a pick elsewhere. It's the self-cast of the ultimate there from Kisei. Arkia running away, a flash on his head, root him down, a Frozen Claw for a little bit of extra DPS. Then a conversation as to who gets the killing blow, and Kevy claims it with the Heartbreaker, a fadeaway hook afterwards, barely scraping by. And they nearly found two.
I mean, that's a huge turn of events. Not only do they get the Herald, but then Arkia overextends. They try to lay the CC, lay the damage on top of Kisei to take him down, but it's Alessandro. As soon as he's able to cast that ultimate, he's able to get that health back, able to buy time. As here we go again, right, we highlight the fact that this is a Boots Ari, this is a Boots Blitzcrank. Your Kindred only has a Sheen, essentially. They're not able to one-shot Kisei, then Arkia gets taken down off the back end, right? So, in not willing to sacrifice that Herald, not willing to cut their losses, and Kevy almost makes it two off the back end of that play.
Very close to making that one be an occurrence. They're not only winning out on the pick, but also getting themselves the Herald and bring us back to a very much even state of the game. A great flash there from Arkia to kickstart it all off when they're not looking to really contest that objective in the first place. Really making sure that this Blitzcrank does find its value. Quick check in with the marks. Only one stack so far complete here by Kindred. Would love to get to number 4 as quickly as possible, but it has been denied. He's been unable to find Kevy just yet.
Well, that's the thing. He's never been able to actually get into Kevy's jungle. He has been losing prio so much. Then off that mid skirmish, obviously the Chiefs grouping up. And I think it goes to Aladoric's credit, right? We see him hover around the mid lane. Not only does that protect his mid laner, but it also means that Why Not's not able to get aggressive. The Raptor camp was marked, but he's up there saying you're never going to actually look at this when I'm there. So Chiefs making good use of their prio, and particularly top lane, been quietly achieving now a 20 CS lead for Bio up here.
Yeah, he certainly has been steadily achieving, and just that one blunder where the hard-forced gank didn't go their way hasn't really changed the tune of this matchup, despite the assist goal being picked up there by the Cassante. Has rushed himself to Bramble Vest. Just wants to be as durable as possible, and doesn't make a lot of sense given that you are going into a double AD setup of a ganking Viego. Just holding his own right now.
They start making his way back towards mid here, but look at the Chiefs entering the bot lane. They recognize that Bliss are committing resources to look top. Bio says, okay, I'm not going to walk up. And now Chiefs have an avenue. They've got the Herald as well. If they wanted to make a play here, they're going to camp this bush, Skimmy. And Herald's going to reveal him.
Yeah, Arkia must have smelt that something's a little bit fishy, so he did preemptively place that ward on down. Wasn't going to really fall victim to any shenanigans just yet, but Arkia then steps up and says, Raze is my target. The Featherstorm comes on out, but it's a little bit too late. Lemus with a static shiver, TP from Lived, also hungry for more. They've picked apart Raze for the second time.
Look at the Herald, though.
And their Herald isn't even going to get off.
If it aggroes those minions, it won't charge at all. That is a disaster.
Oh, it really does go from bad to worse, and now Chiefs need to try and find a way back into this. They thought they had the dive, they thought they had the play, and now they had to sacrifice the dragon as a result, unless the TP comes in through now. Biopev are going to rock up to the party with a flash and an ultimate. He's going to dice onto his target and take down Why Not? You've got no jungler, you have no smite. What are you going to do about this one? The charm goes across, but Bio's not dead. They deny the dragon.
Kevy?
And they look for a little bit more. Kevy getting the stun, but not the kill. Denied by Limas.
The Chiefs have to be singing BioPanther's praises right now. Bails them out of a disastrous situation. As we go back to the start of this fight here, we can see low health bars across the board for the start of Bliss, and it's the TP coming through. Why not? Not able to channel the Lamb's Respite crucially, because Bio just flash W's him and right. Without that jungler, what can you actually do? You've got no smite. Viego's able to get a reset, and suddenly the fight is all bad for you. Even stays alive in the back of the pit. And it was a horrible play, right? The charge of the Herald got denied. Limas Raze rather, fell down, but suddenly Panther coming in is a difference maker.
And it certainly is, and Wynot might be in a spot of bother once again. He's been locked in place. No, just gets away from that Everfrost. Would have meant lights out for him, and it was denied once again. But it does give a fairly big window for Kevin to pull ahead now, having picked up his Trinity Force. He's going to be feeling quite strong if they go toe-to-toe again.
Yeah, 20 CS up, Mythic through, and the question becomes now, how do you actually get this Kindred Marks? Right, she's never going to be able to walk into the enemy jungle in a straight 1v1. She's just going to lose because of this gold deficit. So this Kindred's in a very awkward position, where she's almost forced to play entirely off of Blitzcrank, because Daystar could be caught here.
Is Daystar going to fall on down? No Frozen Tomb for about 10 seconds. It's a lot of damage, and that ultimate was really the difference maker there. But another fantastic hook. Explode the shields and burst them down. And Aladorix, well, he's feeling that pain. He's off to 40%.
And that is the one point of strength for the side of Bliss, their bot lane now. Kai'Sa sitting with the static shift completed and a blasting wonder, able to dish out a fair amount of damage and wave clear against this Xayah. But across the top side of the map, it is all Chiefs' favor. We can see Kisei, Mythic completed, hitting some turret plates now to get himself a bit more up in that gold. And Bio has just been blowing out this top lane. Now 26 CS up on Lived, plates to boot as well. Firm control on this Croc.
And that really is the difference maker, isn't it? The fact that the Herald doesn't actually go their way. You'd imagine that gold lead would stem from the CS lead on top of that Herald, but it is just organically winning these lanes to give them the push, to give them the plates, to find themselves in such a controlling point of this game. 15 seconds, Herald number 2. Hopefully this one could work in their favor.
Yeah, and look at the lane assignments here. Bliss are sending Liv towards this bot lane. Raze is going to push that wave in and rotate up now, so Chief's going to have all 5 members here potentially for this one spawn. Liv's TP will be up though as well, so potentially looking at another 5v5 here as Kevy's fishing.
He certainly is. He's going to find a target, but there was nowhere near an opportunity to commit towards that one. Just going to be lurking in the shadows right now, so they wait for everybody to group back up in the mid lane. It is that 4-5v5. There is the flash, there is the hook, and there is the kill! Kevy's gone! The pick comp is working beautifully here for Bliss. A splash of poke. But the explosive nature from Arceus, he's making this Blitzcrank work.
He's making this Blitzcrank work. It's the Korean duo. Charm initially lands, followed up immediately, no hesitation, flash hook from Arceus. And this is exactly how you have to play this comp, right? The second anything lands, you can't give any room, right? Because a Heartbreaker can come through, he can disengage any further CC coming out. But they collapse upon Kevy, they take him down, and that's going to be the Herald. So, yes, there have been some blunders around objectives, but Bliss going to take this one cleanly for now.
So it feels good for them, and that will be the equalizing factor. With plates now down, that Herald will certainly give them enough to get a turret and bring themselves back to a dead even game. But as that dust does settle, Kisei does rotate himself all the way back to bottom lane, and we'll look to try and find them the very first turret, which is now being claimed. Response you can see from the top half there from Daystar. Both mid laners looking to try and put in some split pushing pressure.
They want to look at him.
Yeah, I'm looking to try and see what they can find on towards Kisei. He's just going to shoot with the smallest frozen claw you've ever seen. But he's gone.
He's gone. And the Chiefs as a whole, you know, one of those teams that even losing these Herald, as we take a look at it again, right, look at Daystar's position. Because the members of Bliss are committed towards this bot side, Kevy doesn't think there's anyone in this bush. Charm lands, instantly followed up flash hook. Kevy has no room whatsoever to actually get out of that play. So Bliss making use of vision, making use of baiting the Chiefs into thinking they were positioning bot side to find a pick and find a Herald.
Beautifully executed, and a wonderful sense of conviction there that the hook will land if that charm is there as well. The quickness is on, and they're looking to try and find their target inside the land's respite. They will be surviving, but Arceus is still limping away. Trying to turn it around now while Bliss, as the Frozen Tomb goes on top of Wynot's head. There is the hook though, and it does mean that Kisei is going to die. They're dying with their flashes up, Max. They're just not expecting it. A charm at max range, but do they have enough to try and bring him back any further? The Typho strikes! It certainly was. A disengaging Viego ultimate will be denied. And the Herald will instantly be summoned to break open the mid-tier 1. Will they look for more? They certainly will. A charm once again. Featherstorm response, flash to the Raptors. But Lemus is following. They're going to find him as well. Lemus has got what he needs. And he's going to look for even more as he flashes across the wall. And now test your skill shots. Hit that Void Seeker. Buy your time. And he's guessed the wrong way.
Oh, it almost looked like Krugs there was going to be the 6th member for Bliss there as Aladoric stumbles out, but Skimmy, plain and simple, there is just too much to dodge from the side of Bliss. The second you dodge a hook, okay, you think you're safe, then a charm comes out, and that's the difference maker. Plain and simple, Bliss just playing better off their cooldowns, finding pick after pick. As here we go again, Arkia walks up initially, misses the hook and gets caught out, but Lamb's rest, but nice in from Why Not to save them. And Chiefs, they overforce the agenda here, right? The Lissandra ultimate onto Why Not doesn't really find too much, and then look at the hook, take Kisei out, he's not expecting it. The cooldown just coming up, and then Daystar, 3 charges of Spirit Rush available. Seems like they lay this CC so perfectly from Bliss.
So well, and once again, drawing Chiefs into a false sense of security. Yes, there is that Lamb's respect. You want to come in and try and find the kill after the ultimate concludes. Just not going to happen.
And here we go again, right? They try to clear the wave. They think the play's done. Charm onto Raze takes him out, and it's Lemus here having the confidence to go over the wall into 2 members to take out Raze. Meanwhile, Biopanther falls. Chiefs are just getting split up, and against the pick comp, you cannot afford that.
Picked apart and taken down and made to eat humble pie here, as it's a very different story between both carries. You could have a fantastic laning phase when it comes to CS, but that CS doesn't really amount to too much when these team fights are going against you. And a quick checking with the mid as well as the bot lane for Bliss. A combined 6-0 KDA looks very pretty at this stage.
As Chiefs are going to be grouping up here, 5 members on mid lane. A bit of deja vu here, Skimmy. They don't necessarily have the wave to actually get anything done. But speaking to your point about AD carries, right, this game's so hard for Raze to play. When you think about Zyra as a champion, what does she like? She likes Engage coming out all at once. She likes people running into her. If you're a Blitzcrank or an Ahri, you don't have to do that. You run up with a billion movement speed, throw your Q, run back, same with the Ahri. There's so much you have to look out for, and if a single CC lands, we've seen it time and time again, you're just going to get chained on top. So you almost feel like you have to ult at the slightest little jump. Makes Raze's life incredibly hard to play.
Certainly some jump scare activity going in the rift for him, as the gamble does become a case of what is the biggest scare for me to actually utilize that ultimate for, and if I hold it too much, then I do get punished where my flash is available, and it hasn't been there to save me on this occasion. Currently sitting at 0-3, not the prettiest score, as he has been picked apart on multiple occasions by that pick comp as you highlight. But let's then check in with the overall gold and see how much it shifted as a result of that last big skirmish. You can see that Lemus now only one at the 8k margin, up by a very healthy amount. Close to 1,500 over his direct lane opponent. And Daystar, not as far as you would expect, actually, over Kisei.
He's certainly taking a bit of a backseat this game, more facilitating for his Kindred and Kai'Sa, but looking at the inventory now of Lemus, Nash's 2 static Shiv online, potentially building towards a bit more attack speed for that E upgrade, and realistically, this is the stage where Kai'Sa can just sit on mid waves and throw these Ws like she is, constantly get vision, constantly throw harass, and for such a short-range composition like the Chiefs, they're going to be forced into taking suboptimal fights because of the pressure that this Kai'Sa is putting on them.
Well, Banshee's Veil is going to be the second item rushed here by Lissandra. And with Azonia soon to follow, you'd have to imagine it will be full utility versus full utility, just the pure panic of where are they, what are they doing, and I mean, we need to live. Plain and simply, we need to get the reset to where our composition is unable to truly strike back at what they're able to achieve.
And vision denial is going to be key for that, right? The way you can actually force Bliss to misstep is through controlling that, choking them out, threatening that you're doing an objective, and then getting those flanks to turn. We've seen Kisei time and time again find the right angles, find flanks onto carries. On this Lissandra, he's going to have to do something similar, right? Because if you are in a prolonged standoff as Arkia...
They're looking for it. The Everfrost is going to be denied by a great flash away. Arkia's the one that was in a bit of trouble right now, but the Frozen Tomb knocked it up with the Grand Entrance, and Why Not is dead. That is the target Chiefs on repeat are always hunting for. With that ultimate denied, and without a smite, objectives become that much more impactful. Charm, hook, Aladoric lives, but then gets killed from a fadeaway by Lemus. Across the wall we go. Liv taking Kevy on a bit of a magical journey, but Kevy becomes the Blitzcrank, and yet again just barely misses the hook as the charm on the after end does connect with Biopanther, but that's not the target you're after.
This time, Chiefs actually getting the better as Liv's going.
They are certainly looking for it. Kevy, he's got nothing left in the tank now. He is going to fall on down. Kisei flashing forward, 2-man Ring of Frost, and they disengage away, but Lemus is just too strong. You said how much of an uphill battle it would be here for Raze, but he can't do much to answer back to this one. And then there were just 2 mid laners remaining.
Everyone's respawned, Skimmy.
And we're back to respawns, because it's only 21 minutes.
We are fighting non-stop in this game here. Why Not initially getting picked? We're at the stage where, you know, the second you see someone on your screen as Kindred, you almost have to press that ult button because you are just going to get CC'd 100-0. But then the Chiefs are tossing up whether they want to go towards this Baron, whether they want to start that. And Bliss make use of that hesitation to find those picks. Here we go again, right? It starts off with Arkia potentially being caught in playing very aggressive here. why not saying, okay, I'm going to use this opportunity to find some damage onto Kisei and gets exploded Skimmy. Without the Lamb's respite, he really does just get taken down in seconds. And this is where the Chiefs hesitate. This is where they want to look towards this Baron potentially, but there's so much poke, and Bliss make their move.
That they certainly do. Another hook off CD, land that with a charm as well, and makes it easy to try and even the balance book, if you will, separate the fight. And look at Lemus, completely untouched.
He's completely untouched here as the hook almost lands, and here we go, Electric Boogaloo part 7, I don't even know, of this fight. It starts with Kevy getting caught, taking the greedy path back, and you know against Bliss you cannot make that greedy decision. Luckily he's got the stopwatch to buy a bit of time, allowing Kisei to get back into it as we're probably right back into the action off the back of it, but it is just Lemus throwing those W's around the mid lane. Look at Raze.
Oh, that's just two. Two Void Seekers, he's down to 50% and fully reliant now. Free!
He has ult.
I mean, he has to recall, at least eat all the honey fruit there.
Red
Even
buff.
then, the red buff was actually his best friend.
Yeah, red buff helping here, but Kisei could be caught. Manages to get out. Red buff gonna be the prize for Raze. We can already see how tough this game is for them off screen. The third dragon's going down. Bliss now on soul point. But like we mentioned, Skimmy, if you're playing against the Pokemon, you don't get this engage. Kisei.
Kisei's going to go in, two-man Ring of Frost to start things off, self-cast to the ultimate, Everfrost as well, Vine Pepper flashing in, looking for Lemus, instant cleanse, disengage away, they don't want to get him, but the Featherstorm comes on down. Will it be ripped back, waiting for the Lamb's Respite to expire? It doesn't happen, but members are falling on down, and Chiefs are starting to answer back. Massive shutdown, that's what Raze needed. The Zarya feeling a little bit better now about the fact that you can poke me out, but if I can have a chance to strike and shine, I will do just that. And off to Baron we go.
Off to Baron, that is absolutely the fight the Chiefs needed. Kisei stays alive for just long enough for Biopanther to get in. A huge crocodile in the backline. It was looking so good for Bliss just 30 seconds ago, but all those kills going to translate into the Baron. As we take a look at the action that started it off, it starts with Kisei getting caught, Charm just misses, but look at how much time he buys in the middle of 4 people. Ultimate cast and it's Biopanther. Flashing onto Lemus, separating him. Yes, he's running away, but this means he's not doing damage. Crucially, this Kai'Sa, who is so fed, isn't able to hit. And you're left with a Kindred, you're left with an Ahri, neither of which are able to do too much, and Chiefs turn the game on its head.
It certainly is. And this is a hybrid of another hybrid of this Kai'Sa, right? Going to go with the Rage Blade as opposed to the Ludens. Definitely wants the uptime to attack just as much as the Zarya does as well. Constantly posing a threat is this Blitzcrank as they hang on for dear life, defending this outer mid-tier 1. He's going to fall on down now. The Baron buff just a little bit too strong to help really force their hand.
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
Looking at the inventories too, Raze has completed that QSS, right? So if a Charm does land, he is able to navigate away from that one without being forced to commit the ultimate. So a smart defensive pickup there saying that, okay, only the Blitzcrank hook is the thing I'm going to have to use my ult for. But Chiefs, time and time again, and if you look at the side of Bliss, right, yes, they've got the Kai'Sa wave clear, but besides that, into Baron, their wave clear is pretty shoddy, right? Ahri not doing too much damage, especially with the build that she's gone for. So if the Chiefs do manage to group up, if they do manage to get concise pushes on both lanes at a time, they can really make a dent in the base of Bliss.
You're not going to be too interested in the wave clear as such, more so finding a great angle for Arcade to try and hook and isolate somebody across that wall. Two-man Everfrost to start things off with a chum onto Biopanther and two-man static. That means Raze is forced to instantly pop that Featherstorm and run away. Aladora's going to run in with the charm and Kevy's going to find that reset. Lived is down for 44 seconds. They can't siege much more, but they found their kill.
And that buys time, right? Yes, it's a 1-for-1, but that's a member you're taking away from the Baron buff. Renekton, nonetheless, someone who is ideally sitting in a side lane and drawing pressure there. And it starts once again with Daystar just being in a creative position, right? You would never expect an Ahri to be standing alone in that bush, finds the initial charm and damage. As here we go once again. Bio's feeling confident, right? The way Bliss are playing, it's as if Ahri is either answering mid or sitting behind this turret, but lands the Everfrost, lands the charm. Renekton, yes, he takes a while to die, and Raze gets the ult forced. But that's huge. They've stopped the Chiefs in their tracks. They prevent this push from going any further.
Exactly what you want, right? Only thing they're going to find then is a little bit of split push pressure, which is where they're now turning their attention to a fairly stacked double cannon minion wave in this top half of the map. 4 members strong. They'll look to force this one in. But Lemus and the rest of the crew not even interested in answering back. They're actually just trading lane for lane.
Yeah, Baron's still up, Skimmy. They do have a massive wave as well to do damage to this turret. Bliss are not here to respond. This is going to be an inhib if Chiefs want it.
It's looking like a freebie at this case. Lived is not going to really do much to stop them in that calls. Daystar rocking up now. Why not flanking from the side? And Arceus certainly hot on his heels as well. Overdrive active and ready to try and find a target ahead.
Interesting macro decision there from the side of Bliss, giving up that top inhibitor 1 minute away from a potential soul spawning, right? Yes, pressure's not going to be immediate from that, but in that minute, in that 2 minute time, if Chiefs manage to make it a bit of a stalemate, sort of stare at you at the Dragon, there is going to be significant pressure applied to those Nexus turrets. So now it's on to Bliss to retake this vision, set themselves up for this potential soul in 45 seconds.
After such a great base defense and a creative attempt at just that in the bot lane, it seems perplexing that they would give up the top lane as freely as they did, right, in terms of looking to try and trade for something in mid. Maybe not anticipating the amount of damage that Chiefs would do, or calling their bluff and think there's no way they'd go for much more than this. Absolutely, and now the vision game is everything. You can see, notably, Aladoric down towards the bot side of your screen in the tri-brush, threatening a flank. Rakan's such a scary champion if he comes from an angle that you don't have warded, and right now, this jungle is incredibly dark for Bliss. They've done all they can, has lived to try and push in that top wave and buy them some crucial time to begin the dance that is this next dragon. This is soul point for Bliss, an Ocean one at that, which would be huge. Don't know that from the Chiefs. Double flank. Give yourself all the sustain to keep hitting them with barrages like that one there. Keep your eyes on Kisei here. He's going to be the one. He's not spotted because this ward is affected by control ward. Here it goes. We're in and raises the one to fit. Find what he needs. Kisei is the target. That's what he's looking to try and do right now. But the Lamps fight does come on through. One, a flashing across the wall with a heal. He's still alive. Fire Pepper. An absolute Ray boss trying to 1v4. But Raze and Kevy on the backside of your screen there. They'll take their own fight. Their remove lived. The bruisers are dead. The dragon is denied. 5 more minutes for Bliss to try and find their prize. And that is all Chiefs needed to do. Ray's the one who ends up taking down the Dragon. The fights are 1-for-1, but it's inconsequential. The way that Chiefs threaten those flanks forces Bliss's hand. They force them to react right as the Dragon is going down. If you take a look once again, the quickness being channeled from Aladoric before he even goes in creates so much space, allows him to have this instant engage alongside Kisei. Lamb's Respite, though, from Wano doing a lot of work. But like you mentioned, it is the Dragon going down, preventing that Ocean Soul. That's the big win for the Chiefs. And a huge win actually for Wino as well, given the amount of attention that went his way, the amount of people looking to try and lock him down. He still managed to land the ultimate and buy himself that time, but obviously then was forced out of that pit to deny them of that soul. But either way, this game is certainly heating up, and whilst it felt like it was so Team Bliss favored for such a significant portion of this game, I mean, you look at the map state, 5 turrets to 1. Chiefs are starting to pull back. Yeah, 4,000 gold ahead. Baron spawning in 20 seconds as well is the crucial factor, right? This pick comp is great for Bliss if they're able to find their angles, but they're not tanky in the slightest. Hook! Dangerously close from taking out Aladoric. But this is a composition that no one besides Cassante can actually walk in and face check something. They are just going to get blown up. Arkia, time and time again, having to use the flash defensively to get himself out of precarious situations. As here he goes again. He really just does not care. Not a care in the world. Glacial Augment, all he wants to do is find somebody, lock them down, and make sure that, hey, here's the kill target. That's what we're going for, and it's worked so successfully this far into the game. Link it up with his Korean Jura and Daystar, who's just hit now level 16 with 3 items complete on the utility Ari. But to be said then of his opponent in Kisei, he's feeling himself this game. 10 stacks in the Dark still. He's just gone back to base to pick up a Bajayas. And he's got himself a stopwatch in hand too. Kisei is definitely not content playing that utility style. We saw a game from him previously in this bit where he topped damage with almost 60k, I believe, on the Lissandra. So certainly a champion that can not only dish out heaps of damage, but survive as well, right? The stopwatch now in inventory as TP's in on mid lane. Kisei could be caught. Yeah, it's a flanking TP, but one that Team Bliss were fully aware of on that wolf camp. He might just fall on down. Ult into stopwatch, into time purchase, but time that's not really meant anything for Chiefs on this occasion. It is a 5v4. The Shrellies is active, the charm goes out, and Aladoric is running away, down to 50%. He sidesteps the Void Seeker, but an Archer comes in with a hook. Raze goes into the sky, and Biped comes tumbling down, all out mode. Removed them from the equation, removed them from the game. Raze against the world as he rips back the feathers, but just barely misses the Kindred ultimate. I mean, that could be game, Skimmy. It starts with Kisei TPing into the middle of nowhere. They don't have a wave with them right now, and 20 seconds on Lissandra. I have no idea what they're going to do. They could turn around. They could head towards this Baron. I think they want to go for the end, though. Yeah. Just capping. They're heading for the Baron. I think the adrenaline rush was essentially like, let's go for the end. Let's do it. 30 seconds on his respawn timers. And as that pumps and clears themselves out off to Baron. But where is Kisei here, right? Look at his teammates. Yes, it's a flank, but it is such a deep flank that even through a Lissandra ult, even through a stopwatch, he gets taken down well before any of his teammates are able to respond.
And that's so much of your damage, that's so much of your initiation in these fights, that losing that before a fight even starts is crazy. And there is the charm. Double charm there from Aladoric and Daystar against each other. But look at how Ray sells Biopanther here. Ults over the Blitzcrank hook, meaning Reactor gets pulled back into 4. And yes, you'd rather that than Desire, but ultimately goes down in the end anyway. And a clean ace from the side of Bliss.
It certainly was just a mere sidestep. The smallest pixel
Yeah,
difference
that was a
there
nice ult as well.
to be denied of that Lamb's respite, but it is going to be Team Bliss then able to deny Baron at number 2 and give themselves that extra bit of power as we look at another soul point up for grabs.
Now this time, what are Bliss going to do differently? You'd hope that they allow a bit more time for Lemus to use his W's, use those Void Seekers to actually get poked before the fight starts. But Kisei, once again, very precarious position.
Yeah, he's going to go for the frozen claw, but he's been silenced,
Oh.
so he cannot take it away. Dead again.
Perfect Kaiser W lands, takes away the Banshee's Veil. That is what allows the Blitzcrank to hook. And yet again, it's Kisei, this incredibly fed Lissandra, who we highlighted, just finished the death cap, but it doesn't matter. He's gray screened. Ocean Dragon spawning. This is Soul on the line.
And the Magi's that was purchased is back down to a 0. It's now found literally 0 value whatsoever. This Dragon is certainly Bliss is to take. You've got no mid lane and you've got an AD carry with no summoners.
Gone.
And Bliss now will have themselves 3 back-to-back Ocean Dragons. They've got the sustain, they've got the damage. And they've got such a fed Kaiser.
That Kaiser is, what, 5,000, 4,000 gold above anyone else in this entire game. Look at her, completed the death cap, stopwatch in hand as well. So not only is she doing ridiculous amounts of damage from afar, but has that defensive capability if you do manage to get on top of her. Now, you know, in the sake of keeping this a competitive game from the Chiefs' standpoint, Ocean Soul, yes, it hurts, but still your comp is so reliant on one-shotting people that in an ideal team fight, it's not going to matter that much, right? You still are going to be able to have the Lissandra who's going to overkill through that Dragon. Same with the Rakan, same with the Viego. So if they do find an explosive fight, they could win. That being said, anything extended significantly favors Bliss.
Absolutely. And to your point then, Biopanther has gone back to base. He's picked up the Anathema's chains. He's planted that on towards Lemus's head and said, you are my nemesis. You are the one that will fall on down. Lemus' response? It's a Zonya's Hourglass.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I'm 12-1. You will not be taking me down.
I mean, it really speaks to how useless Renekton is at this stage of the game, right? The fact that his third item is just an Anathema's, get that bit of extra HP and CC him for, 0.2 seconds longer with the W, but now really going to come down to Raze here to have this DPS. We've already seen how hard it is for him to play into the range of Team Bliss. Playing through the minions though, using them as a bit of a shield can be one way you can negate a bit of that Kaiser poke.
This game certainly has been one of 2 different halves. It's been up and down, favoring either team. Bliss back in the driving seat. And Bliss now with the Baron buff expiring. Looking to turn her attention to top lane.
And look how thorough Bliss are being about clearing vision, right? They acknowledge that the only way they're going to lose this game is with the flank TP. Yes, it went bad for Kisei before, but still, you want to keep them all in front of you when you have this composition. Top lane going to be the target now. Bio's pushing bot side, but you're not really worried about that. That Renekton isn't going to be doing too much damage to structures. Aladoric, though, he's looking for something.
Certainly is. He's hoping for a miracle right now. As the charm goes out, knocking them all off. There's double stone use inside the Lamb's Respite. This could be huge for Chiefs right now. If they can execute upon it, Bio goes in, but gets charmed into a silence, and he's lights out. Chiefs now looking to try and hunt for more as Kevy ults into the bush to not find what he's after. But this is such a dicey game, and it's the Bruisers once again paying the price.
Yeah, the Bruisers are the ones who go down at the end of it. It's an amazing initial engage from Aladoric. At the last second before he gets revealed by Arca, you can see here, he's going to get face checked by the Blitzcrank. He knows he has to go, finds the 2 key carries, and it's that Lamb's Respite there that does so much value in this fight, allowing Lemus to get back. Biopanther has the worst time trying to get on top of any of these carries. But that's an ideal situation for the Chiefs, right? They find both of the carries immediately, and even then, the fight's even at best.
It certainly was. Once again, just shows you how crucial it is that the Kindred is there. The Kindred can protect. And even if you do overlap your stasis effects, it just does not matter. It's all about denying the Chiefs reset comp. Mikhail's coming out now here for Arkia. Another tool in their arsenal to give them a second cleanse to protect this Fed Kaiser.
Fishing again here. And this is what I love about Arky, is how aggressively he plays this Blitzcrank. Even when, in a situation like that, his teammates are clearing mid lane, he says, okay, I'm going to threaten you, maybe burn a flash, maybe burn a summoner. He's always looking for these opportunities, and We've got a classic OS 35-minute ARAM here, but against the Kai'Sa, this is not a champion you want to be ARAMing against.
You certainly don't. You want to really pull that trigger as we've seen so far. This guy's at full build, by the way. It's 37 minutes in. We are going the distance in this one. A best of one to decide first seed here. And both teams not giving up anything.
I mean, this is a best of one fight now, Skimmy. Realistically, the next fight that happens could be the game decider. We've got Baron spawning in 30 seconds. And death timers at this stage are long enough that if you get a clean ace, even if you take off 3-4 members, that could signal the end of the game. So both teams going to need to be incredibly careful. Arc is in.
They pulled the trigger, they found Raze, but he's not fallen on down as a result. And if he's living there just winning, Raze is taking down Arc. That's what you want to see first and foremost. Redemption goes down. Bio goes golden, lives on the flank. Intopia strikes, drags back Kevy. He's got the Guardian Angel, but needs a bit of divine intervention to try and bring them back from this one, because it's Kai'Sa in the mid lane just raining down hot fire, bring down whoever they want right now. Kisei's going to cast the ultimate on his head, live for as long as he can, but he cannot survive. 2 kills for Limus. He is godlike inside the Lantras pit. They will become invulnerable, they will survive, they will live, and they will simply out-execute.
Oh, Daystar!
As Daystar tries to be creative with it, tries to make sure that Limus can go crazy as well. And they will look to say that we are the ones in the driving seat. We are the ones that will win this series, as the final nail in the coffin is removing Kevy.
It's a long-fought affair, but ultimately Bliss are the ones who emerge on top. Arkia almost looks like he overextends, but the rest of Bliss are there to back him up. It's Limus, it's Daystar who make the montage plays off the back of it. And it was a hard-fought best of 2. It's a hard-fought best of 1, but Bliss going to stand alone at the top of the standing, sole possession of first place.
That they most certainly are. Limus with the game of the split. There's the dance. He's a happy man. 16 kills on the Kai'Sa, the most we've had this split. And in a game with as important stakes as you get, they've given themselves the best possible chance to do well going into next week's playoffs.
And what a game to do it on as well. Back and forth constantly. Chiefs had their windows, but ultimately it was Bliss who once again never took their foot off the gas. They were always the ones looking for those opportunities, whether it be a hook, whether it be a charm. And you know, enough of those taken, enough of those land, it is just the end of the game.
And no doubt Kisei is going to be kicking himself on those multiple occasions. The first obviously being the very deep teleport on vision towards the enemy wolf camp. Gets spotted out with all the immunities that he has available to him. Wasn't enough to try and deny it. And then to find himself picked again in the second fight. And it just felt like at that point, Bliss was saying, we're back in this.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to say Bliss back in it because they had an amazing start to this game, right? I thought that this was going to be one of those ones. It was going to be all for Bliss, everything in their favor, but slowly Chiefs were able to find small things. And I think that that's a big props to them, that they were able to keep their cool. They were able to take one small thing after each other. And I'm like, hold on a second. This is turned on its head. This is all for Chiefs, but we were in for a treat with this game. We were absolutely spoiled with all of the fights that occurred here, the way that they played out. How did Chiefs even keep themselves in though? Like, I said that they took small little things here and there, Rusty, but how did they actually keep themselves in this game to make it go as long as it did?
So the one thing that the Chiefs did incredibly well is they made sure that Why Not did not get to play League of Legends in most of the fights that they were successful with, right? Because the biggest thing to me, if you look at both compositions, Chiefs makes a lot of sense. Viego wants resets. They're just going to play, you know, for the initial kill. It's going to be a team fight for sure, right? But it is that initial pick off with a Lissandra tanking forever, finding that single target. And once they get that reset, they're laughing. Team fight's so free to have. But their opponents are kind of in this very, like, this niche little Kindred pick into them is very non-committal crowd control or predictable crowd control from the Chiefs. So the Kindred has value with the Lamb's Respite. It also, there's no displacement unless, like, they actually steal the Blitzcrank, right? So they have no tools to get anyone else out of that Lamb's Respite. And it's predictable. So I think it's very, very clutch in terms of drafting this Kindred here and what it can provide for the comp as a whole. And then you add a Blitzcrank in, which doesn't just let you play like a similar style to the Chiefs. It lets you play like they can't kill you because you have a Kindred. And then at any point, if one hook hits, you get a kill instead. And the shoe's on the other foot. The Ari's getting the reset. So this is one of those things where, like, I think only Bliss play this, right? I think only Bliss get away with this, but it works so well into these traditional pick style compositions that they just had no solid answers, Chiefs, except for kill the Kindred first. And so that's what the game became.
And obviously then on the side of Bliss, they're trying to protect him for as long as possible. But I want to go back to this Blitzcrank being picked up for them. Arkia, the way that he played it, you said it was all about landing these hooks. Not only was he landing these hooks, but it felt like they were coming out off cooldown. The way that he was able to pull it, so the number advantage was always in their favor for Bliss. Absolutely phenomenal.
To me, this game was a very clear example of him towing the line, and it's been mentioned in interviews, but there were some times where, don't get me wrong, he was basically griefing, right? He was base checking bushes, having to burn flash, but he constantly towed the line between that and then finding the game-saving hooks, right? So it speaks to Arkia's ability to both solo win the game, but also solo lose the game at times.
He plays Blitzcrank like Blitzcrank, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't play it like he's afraid to play the game, and I think that's why Arkia is my favorite player in the league right now. I know we said the same thing backstage, Nat, but he's the most exciting support to watch by far, and I think for me, he's just the most exciting player in the LCO right now.
I think one of the reasons why we had the game go that it did with all these fights, all of these skirmishes, every sort of initiation possible, all the different angles that could be seen, the gold difference graph as well, it really reflects that, how advantageous it was for Blitz, how it evened out for Chiefs, and back and forth. Like, it was phenomenal to see that an initiation from either team could swing it that hard. But I also want to go back to what you said, Skimmy. Kisse kind of, you know, going to be hard done by because his flanks have worked in so many other games and so many other series that we've seen. He's pulled them off and they've been fantastic. They've been game-changing for the Chiefs. This time around, maybe he does these flanks one too many times. Bliss have watched all the VODs, all the reviews that they possibly could do. And they kind of knew that maybe it was coming once they saw it on Vision.
But credit to playing a good Blitzcrank comp. It's all about vision denial, right? It's all about creating that chaos in the very first place, right? So you don't know where to expect it to come from. Obviously started in the bot lane first of all and put Raze so far behind, you know, starting 0-3 in lane, which is very uncharacteristic of him.
Yeah.
You come into the team fights, right? And it was a case of not necessarily just, you know, Kisse being called out, but then Biopemper being, you know, flanked away from him. Even if he does have the anathemas chains, there's a, you know, an explosion coming afterwards to silence you. You can't get much more than it. You can't flash on somebody's head. So I think, yeah, Arkia played out of his mind. And ultimately, Kisse is going to say that, yeah, this was my game to win. I've just picked myself up the Magi's. I've got the Rabadons. I'm very, very strong. Yeah, caught out of place one too many times, unfortunately.
Yeah, we can go back and we can talk about all of those other players, all the other champs, and how that went out in that best of one. But for now, we've got Lemus on the line. He's going to be joining us here. Yo, Lemus, congratulations. You guys top of the ladder here for a regular split. How exciting is that?
Thanks. To be honest, doesn't really...
Don't say that.
feel like much. I mean, like, to be brutally honest, this game to me just felt like an on-stage scrim versus Chiefs, you know. So I'm just happy to get the additional practice.
So when you say the on-stage scrim, would you say that the champs have been picked up, how things played out, pretty, you know, like rinse and repeat? You've done this one off stage before?
No, I mean, as in like the actual result of the game doesn't mean too much.
Okay.
So. Yeah, I'm just, like, more than anything, I'm just happy to be able to practice more on stage versus a good opponent.
Right, I understand now.
And speaking about the picks, though, you know, you're playing with Arkia on the Blitzcrank. Is this something that you guys have rehearsed and practiced before? Because I feel like you're probably the only Blitzcrank team that I could think of in the league.
The thing about Arkia is that he pretty much, I mean, he claims that he can play any champion. So he just like finds a champion that's good like in the comp and picks it. And as for the Blitzcrank, yeah, we play it here and there in scrims and stuff, and I think he's really good at it.
And for the draft as a whole, though, like how much of this was actually pre-planned out by Calvin or anyone backstage with the draft? Like, did you get 3 picks in and you're like mixing it up with the Blitzcrank, or was this kind of always a known quantity and along with the Kindred?
Well, I think us at Bliss, like we put like a lot of thought into draft. We prepare a lot. Like I myself, I watch like all the major regions and PCS, and I'm constantly getting up to date with the meta and which champions I think are strong. So like from week to week, like my champion priority just changes, and I think the team also has the same sort of mentality. And so we just think that, so we try to draft in a way which like gives us champions that are strong together and also strong like just in the game in general.
Right, I know those champions are now changing, but I have to ask this: 16, 1, and 8 on Kai'Sa. Like, is this your new best girl? Like, is Draven done? Like, are we just Kai'Sa one-tricking now?
Look, I'm gonna be honest. I'm a bit of a like meta slave. I just play whichever champion's like most broken. Kai'Sa, look, I'm gonna be honest. I think this champion is incredibly brain dead, especially like the AP build. All you have to do is just wait until like someone gets some form of CC applied to them,
and then you just press RW and then one shot. So I think playing Kai'Sa just depends on how well your team is setting you up, and I think my team is the best at setting up Kai'Sa in the league.
Makes sense.
I mean, that's how you go 16-1 on a Kai'Sa there. I want to talk a little bit more about the game, though. You guys were doing fantastic pre-20 minutes, a lot of it going in your way when it came to fights. And then post-20 minutes, obviously until about the 30-minute mark, you guys weren't really able to take these fights. We talked about it. We discussed what we thought was going on. But I want to know exactly why you think it switched and swayed that way and what exactly you guys did as a team comms-wise to ensure that you did get the win.
Yeah, well, we were playing like a comp that really just wants to short burst someone. So like we just went like REE into Kai'Sa W into Blitz Hook into just burst someone fast and then like disengage quickly. I think the game, like even after we got the early lead, I think the game sort of lingered on excessively a bit because we were just like overextending and not playing to our win con, whereas the Chiefs were like doing well to just force engages and just you know, catch us out and make us uncomfortable and get some kills and picks. And then once they get like, once they get these picks snowballing and stuff, it's hard for us to control the game. So yeah, I think that's what happened.
And what exactly did you do then to take control over the game?
Yeah, I mean, so we just refocus. Like we know exactly how our champions are supposed to be played. We know how to win the game, so we just got to execute upon it. So we just stay calm and we just like keep calling, just keep reminding each other that we're just playing short burst out, etc., and yeah, just stay focused and wait for the enemy to make a mistake as well, and then punish them.
They're awesome. Well, you did all of those things. You guys looked fantastic. Congratulations again on not only winning the tiebreakers, but getting first on the leaderboard here.
Hey, thanks guys.
See ya.
See ya.
Oh, I knew it. I knew as soon as I asked the question, how's it feel? He was going to give the old rinse and repeat. It is what it is. We always knew it with the top
Come
dogs.
on, mate. Come on, Lemus. Give us something more. Come on, just a little.
He drip feeds it.
Yeah.
When he gives you jokes, he just drip feeds. You're not even sure it's a joke until he's smiling afterwards, just barely, and that's when you know.
No, I loved it. I loved all the information that he gave as well about how they were able to handle that game for themselves, some of the champions as well, potentially what we will see for playoffs or what we won't see for playoffs, depending on what gets banned out against them now. So Kai'Sa not really high on his personal list.
We just need to ban this champion. I think like it genuinely is just too broken. He mentioned it himself. It's not even hard to play, right? You're literally sitting on mid lane pressing W on repeat and you just win the game. And I think because not only is it incredibly strong, you can play it AP, you can play it AD, you can play it mid lane as well. We get to see that, but it's still an option. I think it just provides too much versatility, and I haven't really seen a good answer for it on red side yet.
Would you say, though, that he's Kai'Sa, as you know, brain dead as it is, as he put it, still MVP worthy? Would you give it to someone else that was setting up a lot of the skills for him?
Honorable mention to the hooks.
Surely. I want Arkia. Last time I wanted to support, it was Decoy. He didn't get it, but I also feel like...
Honorable mention to the Korean duo. I think both Arkia and
Daystar
Daystar were on another level. Those two together were just saying, like, you know, I'm going to learn a charm, instant flash hook, or, you know, a hook or go off, instant flash charm. You know, the mobility between those two just to find a target and cause the misery, even if flashes were up and available in response. Fantastic.
I was going to say, any human would be like, no, we don't go in here. That's just no. And a sane person just wouldn't do it. And then they do it, and it goes in their favor. It's phenomenal. So we'll see who does get MVP on the side of Bliss. Where did you guys put your vote? Of course, it was Lemus. He went 16-1-8, 86% kill participation, as well as 38% damage share on the side of Team Bliss. It all makes sense.
I mean, yeah, to all the honourable mentions we can give, I mean, at the end of the day, it's the flashiness of a carry popping off on a champion to a fashion like this, right? 16 kills, as I mentioned already, the most of the split. It's a fantastic feat, put you in the best possible position if you're thinking form-wise to say that, is this a personal best of my career? You know, to take down the Chiefs and no doubt verse them a multitude of extra times going into playoffs as well.
Is it the most kills in a single game this split now?
Yeah. I think before it was 15. I think that was Kai'Sa by Praetor.
Oh, yeah,
and I think then it was Tomasino's Jace.
Yeah. Well, look, we can quickly check those stats. And while we're checking it, I can show you guys on the screen what our playoffs bracket now looks like that we have completed this tiebreaker. We know Team Bliss is going to be #1, so they'll be going up against Dire Wolves. Chiefs coming up against Mammoth there in the upper bracket. That's our 4 teams. And waiting for them in the lower bracket is going to be Pentanet, waiting to go up against whoever loses between Chiefs and Mammoth. And then Vertex will be waiting for the loser between Team Bliss and Dire Wolves.
Yeah, big playoffs ahead of us. A lot of days back-to-back here as well. As you can see, them will be going Monday through to Friday. And I think it starts off with a couple of absolute bangers, right? The Mammoth underdog story, the Dark Horse running up against the Chiefs, who are the back-to-back champions, is a very strong starting point.
Yeah, so it will be the upper bracket for Monday, then the lower on Tuesday, and then we have our lower on Wednesday, then our upper on Thursday,
Yeah.
and then our lower on Friday. So
Like
we're
a
kind of
good gym
zigzagging.
program.
Down,
Up, down. Yeah, that's going to be my emotions, I think, in that whole playoffs week. It's going to be like, yay, oh, elimination. Yay, oh, another elimination.
Elimination's fun.
What was
though.
that lingering?
Right, 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 right.
You always feel bad when a team gets knocked out. You're just like, it has to happen, but god damn, it doesn't make the heart hurt any less.
You're right. You are right, though.
No. And if you did see on that playoffs bracket as well, on that how we're doing the playoffs, you'll see that the grand final had to wait all the way until Sunday, July 30th. But the good news is we do have a live watch party going on over at Fortress Sydney. So if you guys are in town or maybe you want to see the league homies, you can fly yourself in. You pick up yourself a ticket for only $12. You get a drink upon entry as well over on Fortress Sydney. There is a $150 prize for best dressed as well as a League of Legends themed quiz. So head on over to lco.gg for those tickets, or the Discord as well if you want to find out some more information to really tie you over, sell you to buy those tickets and come down to that watch party.
Yeah, and I do believe that Elon Musk.
I
and,
knew
um,
that.
Oh,
I knew
Mordred
this.
just
Mark
said,
Zuckerberg
Mordred
told you
just
this,
said,
right?
Mordred
Huh?
just
Mordred
said,
told you this.
Yeah, of course. Okay,
Mordred just
has
said,
always given me the plug. He's told me that the most famous, battle of all time is actually going to be occurring at the same time. That is the pre-match. That is the warm-up.
Yeah.
To get excited for the real match.
Uncanny.
yeah, it's actually going to be Rusty and Max in the ring as our pre-match for the grand finals.
Elon Max.
Elon Maxing.
I was trying to think of a way to do Mark Zuckerberg with you, but it doesn't really...
Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg.
All right, quote us. We'll be there.
They'll be cosplaying.
Actually,
We
we'll be
will
casting.
be boxing.
You'll also be casting here, but afterwards.
afterwards.
Yeah, you'll actually be doing the post-show, the
We're
pre-show.
just gonna run there and just box, and that's
Yep.
it. Yeah,
Yep.
sick.
That's what we're doing.
Loser buys the other one a drink.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
Yeah. Done.
Yeah, great. Sorry, guys.
Lovely.
Distant shake.
I do want to
I'll
quickly
shake
though.
your hand.
Cheers, mate.
That's so weird. I really want to quickly go
Cool.
back. Cool. Next time, keep it to yourselves. I do want to go back, though, and have another quick chat about this Bliss and Chiefs because, actually, no. I'm going to hold on to it. I was going to say, do you guys think that they will be facing up in the upper bracket?
100%.
But that's something you guys are going to have to stick around for, okay? We're going to run through our whole playoffs brackets a little bit at the end of the show. I hope I'm not putting production on the spot right now because I want to throw to a break, and when we come back, it's Menu Log meal time.
But an Archer comes in with a hook. Raze goes into the sky, and Biped becomes tumbling down. All-out mode. Remove them from the equation, remove them from the game. Raze against the world as he rips back the feathers, but just barely misses.
Bet I go down as one of the GOATs, the greatest of all time. Look, bet I go down as one of the GOATs, the greatest of all time. Go, crazy. Bet I go down as one of the GOATs, the greatest of all time. Go, crazy. Bet I go down as one of the GOATs, the greatest of all time. Don't nobody wanna step to me. I'm a legend in the making. Y'all not even in my league. The greatest of all time.
Don't tell me now, I got everything I want to. Don't stop me now, I'm a juggernaut. Don't turn around, cause you don't know what's behind you. Don't turn around, we'll see it now, seeing everything we want to. We'll take your time, we won't hesitate. Don't turn around, cause you don't know what's behind you. Got you, we turn the page, because we want to, yeah. Yeah, we run that, we leave this place. They flood.
Chippy is on an absolute tear right now.
Welcome back. Another broadcast day does mean another menu log meal time and another chance for you guys to win a $40 voucher for menu log. All you have to do is type in menu pog in chat, spam it away, put it in as many times as you want in chat, and you could be getting that $40. You could get yourself some snacks, get yourself dinner, dessert, a bubble tea. I don't know. Well, how would you guys spend the $40?
Bubble tea.
Barbie bubble tea from Charter.
Bubble tea.
Did you have any?
I didn't have it today. No. I need to get
You
it.
even
I need
scouted
to
a
win
venue,
menu pog.
and then we forgot.
We did. I'm going to get in chat right now and type menu pog, so I need that.
You need it?
I need it.
You're just going to spend $40 on Barbie-themed food.
Yes.
The
it's only like
thing
2
is, he's not
drinks.
joking. He genuinely would.
I will.
Skim Dog, how would you?
$40 of desserts.
Of desserts?
Desserts. I want gourmet donuts. I want
Gourmet donuts.
all the pastries. I was going to try and be French and do it live in patisserie.
Patisserie.
Look, I just want all
Chocolat
that
de
good
Claire.
stuff. Yeah.
You can't just say English words with a French accent and hope it's French.
Pain au
What's that?
chocolat.
Pain chocolat.
Le donut.
Les donuts, les baguettes.
J'adore.
No,
J'adore
that's bad.
sugar. I just love it. I love anything sweet, so I would just get $40
$40
of that,
desserts.
and then my dentist would hate me, but that's okay.
They'd love you.
Well,
Yeah, 'cause you'd be a
They
regular
would,
visitor.
but I would hate myself. Okay, we reframe it. I would hate myself.
You
The
get
amount
some
of
high
feelings.
scores at that dentist, mate.
Oh, yeah, I'd be broke.
Yeah, it would
I'm
be.
on the leaderboard.
How would you be spending your $40, Rusty?
We've had so much dinner tonight already that it probably has to be desserts. Like, genuinely. Listen, I haven't had enough Portuguese egg tarts today.
No.
Two's not enough to
Two's not enough.
satiate me, yeah.
$40
You're
of that.
a one trick now, these
I'm
Portuguese egg tarts.
actually a one trick, bro.
Yeah.
My life
What are we picking?
changed.
Egg tarts.
Egg tarts.
Always.
That's his
Only-
new nickname, Egg Tart.
What'd you call me?
And what is that in French again there, mate?
I can
Next time?
just to contextualize, we have been learning French, so it's not we're not
We.
acting out of
Well,
character.
we've all been
We're
learning
We.
languages.
We.
We've all been learning languages.
We.
We're having a competition amongst ourselves. Max is on the French train.
Yeah, we're all doing different languages, but
Yeah.
yet we're competing against each other.
Somehow. I'm learning Korean. What are we learning over here?
I'm doing.
Chinese.
What are you doing?
Chinese?
Yeah, I'm doing Danish and Spanish.
Yeah.
Doubling down, jeez. Bonus points, I
So
guess.
this time next year, if we're not speaking it fluently, we failed you all.
Next week, we're doing an international
Yes,
cast.
we're
I'm springing on
next
everyone. We're only speaking
Next
the
week we're in
languages that
Paris.
we're learning.
Playoffs in multiple languages.
Yeah.
All us.
Yeah.
Yeah, one broadcast, but somehow we're going to do it in 6 different
I
languages.
will have Siri talking to the mic for me.
I'm going to have to do that to listen. Anyway, it's been a great pleasure. It's been an absolute treat. Hopefully one of you guys got that $40 menu log voucher. It's not too late. Menu pog in chat. But for now, we're going to go to a break. Make sure you stick around because we're going to run through the whole playoffs of brackets, our predictions, and some of the team matchups that will be starting next week.
I'm a champion. Give me my respect. Don't play me for dumb. Don't never test my intellect. A smooth operator. I'm calm in the fire. Hey, we so driven, keep it rolling just like a tire. Time is all that matters. Can't listen to the chatter. When I look at my opponents, man, it's really getting sadder. We keep on soaring higher. Your chances looking dire. I know that you admire, cause we consistently staying on your mind. We done it your way every single time. I'm tired of talking for now. Call me your mom. Yeah, hey, just sit back and watch. They try to silence us, but you know they cannot. There's nowhere to run and hide, cause we taking down your home. Now you're looking at the kings, cause we overthrew the throne. Now we feel it in the air, you can see it in the eyes. We've been down for long enough, now it's time to uprise. Never fall, stand up. You can't break me, we too tough. We the truth, they all lies. First we was down, now it's time to uprise. Never fall, stand up. You can't break me, we too tough. We the truth.
gets it. Kingsley's not able. It's a pentakill. Second, they'll find a second. Chippy is on an absolute tear right now.
Welcome back, everyone. You're not going to be too sad that you're still sticking around because we're going to go through our playoffs bracket. I mean, it's been an amazing day. We had the fantastic best of one between Bliss and Chiefs. A lot of fights, a lot of skirmishes. Would recommend going back and rewatching it, but not right now. You should stick around. You should savor every bit of information we're about to give you leading into playoffs next week, because we're going to individually go through our brackets, our predictions of how we see the playoffs playing out. And then we're also going to have a bit of a brief, quick discussion about those upcoming team matchups, the teams that will be going up against each other. I guess I'll kick us off. I'll start, and we can bring up my bracket of what I predicted. I do want to say, I want to preface this. We had to do these graphics before this tiebreaker played out, so we all just kind of flipped a coin, and we said, let's just do our brackets as if Chiefs came out on top and won the tiebreaker.
We genuinely flipped a coin.
We genuinely flipped a coin. So that is why we have Chiefs up there versus Direwolves. That's not actually what's going to happen, but for my prediction, it was going to be Chiefs. Even if Team Bliss was up there, I think I would still have the exact same 2-0 prediction. And then down there versus Mammoth is the same sort of thing for me. I see Chiefs and Bliss being the ones to come up against each other in the upper final bracket. I see PGG doing a little bit of a lower bracket, maybe Cinderella story. Definitely seeing some bite backs, though, from their opponents going on down there, but ultimately ending up with Team Bliss up against Chiefs for the grand final, but it going to all 5 games.
I know you originally in your list of power rankings have Chiefs winning, so what's changed in the split, Nat? I know you put a lot of thought into those power rankings.
I did, and then on the weekend I ran into Why Not down in Melbourne, and you know what? Such a solid guy. I decided I'd put my all in for Bliss. He did. He gave me the spiel. He gave me the elevator pitch of Team Bliss, and I was like,
with the Why Not 10.
I'm ready to invest.
Understood. That's valid.
He's an absolute businessman, that guy, I tell ya.
I don't know if anything else stands out.
Yeah.
Beyond
not the PGG beating Mammoth, PGG beating Direwolves. Despite the fact that they're coming in
did beat
lower seed.
Pensanet last split as well. I think it was like a 3-0 also in that playoff. So certainly that one is...
That lower bracket round 2, a bit of a question mark.
Yeah, that is a big question mark.
But ultimately what I'm ending up at, you're not too shocked.
Yeah.
All right, well then let's have a look at yours, Rusty, and you can tell me what you think and what you've compared and put yours as. Look at that head.
That's doing me. That's facing inwards. That's scary.
Doing you dirty.
So I don't think I actually changed too much from yours now that I'm looking at this. I do have Bliss over Chiefs. I absolutely had both of those teams winning in the first round regardless of their opponents.
Oh, wow.
I did have, if Bliss were facing Mammoth, I had Mammoth taking a game. But now that it's Chiefs, I'll have to reassess and actually think about that a little bit more again. But I think Bliss 3-1 in the first finals, and then I really think Chiefs would pressure them more in the grand finals. I just have this feeling, right, that Chiefs have a higher chance of winning when it's in the proper finals. Other than that, yeah, I actually have Direwolves pushing Chiefs to 5 in the lower bracket finals. I just think they're finding form at the right time. I just think the current Direwolves are finding some good form.
Interesting.
Yeah, I can't actually disagree with that. I was really stuck. I think out of everything, it was PGG Direwolves that I was stuck on the most for giving a series score and who would win. So I definitely don't blame you or disagree with you at all of having Direwolves go through and push Chiefs.
History also says Pensanet lose in playoffs and aren't big game players right now, or big game team.
They got the playoffs curse, huh?
Yeah.
Bit of a rough one. Well, let's pull up Skims. Hopefully yours is ready and you can walk us through that one.
Yeah, I mean, a common theme, I suppose, is in this lower bracket, not really giving too much hope for Vertex here. I'm not really expecting, given there was such a gap in terms of how close they were to 5th seed, so I do think that Direwolves can just sweep them 2-0. The one thing that obviously throws my power rankings into disarray is the fact that PGG and Mammoth will have to fight up against each other, so there's no way for me to try and get them side by side in that regard, but I do believe in the upper bracket final, different to you guys. I think it's a 3-1. I think Chiefs take that one 3-2, much like we've seen in the past. And I feel like when it comes to the grand final, there's more pressure imposed on Bliss than there is for Chiefs because they've been in those big game situations before. So I think Chiefs run it back like they did at DreamHack and just close that one out in a 3-1 affair. In the lower bracket, I went and said that, yeah, I think PGG are going to go for the miracle run, but it's not going to be easy. I think they're going to have to do back-to-back full best-of-3 series. with not much rest between, right? You're going in from Tuesday into Wednesday, back-to-back game fatigue, but at the same time, you're kind of warming up as well. So there's a bit of hopium that I think PGG can do it, but I think when you go into Team Bliss, based on what we've seen from him as well, they're just cut above the rest. So I think they can definitely take a game away from Bliss, but I feel like overall, Bliss have a little bit more added in their repertoire, so they'll be able to bring themselves back into that grand final.
That's a really valid point you bring up, is that lower bracket down there, it's going to be played on Tuesday, and then whoever does get through out of those two teams, they're going to have to run it directly back on Wednesday. So that could be a really big factor, whether it's fatigue, whether it's warming up, whether it's a team that just enjoys playing more games, how are they going to react to that? And then obviously if they do get it through, they then have that one break day, and then they've got to fire back up again on Friday of whoever is going to be coming down from that upper bracket. So really big things to consider, Skim.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing, obviously, that's I took into consideration, assuming that Bliss were going to be in second for tonight, was that I believe that Mammoth would take a game away from them. They did it during the regular split. I do still feel like Mammoth have Dark Horse potential, but without that being, Mammoth against Chiefs, I would definitely have to really reconsider.
Yeah, we have them both just taking games, but not series.
Yeah, look, I'm not sold on just how deep Mammoth could go in this tournament. I still do believe they can cause upsets, but I'm definitely huffing the PGG opium.
Yeah, I mean, there's upsets and then there's miracles. So we'll see how far you put Mammoth's run, Max, on your playoffs bracket. We'll see if you had the faith in them at all. And you did!
Yeah, so Mammoth to me is a team who actually are looking good, I think. They have been on their upswing, finally finding some consistent form, particularly Dajong in the mid lane. I do want to shout out the fact that Bliss not playing Mammoth. I think both upper bracket series now will be 2-0s. I think that Mammoth had the best chance of taking a game off Bliss just because there's so much chaos in that early game, and I think that there's one game that could just go either way and Mammoth can take that. That being said, obviously Mammoth still making a deep run, but at the end of the day, it's going to be Chiefs versus Bliss, just a cut above everyone else, and I do have Chiefs taking it in the end, kind of similar to last split where they fell down in an original series, but then got it back for the grand final. So not really many surprises there, I guess, besides Mammoth compared to you guys.
Look, this is a hypothetical, Max, but let's say in that upper bracket, what if Chiefs take it and then it's Bliss falling down and it's going to be versus Mammoth in that lower bracket final? Would you still favor Bliss, or are you like, that is where the real upset potential of Mammoth could come out in full force?
That would be the best series, I think, to watch in the whole playoffs, in my opinion.
Happened?
If it happens, I would still favor Bliss, though, because I have gone 2-1 for them here. I think at the end of the day, yes, they play chaotic, but I think that they're a bit better at it, like we saw in this game. They are just a bit more, reserved and better at picking their angles, and I think mid lane as well. Yes, Dajong's been showing up, but against Daystar, it's a whole different ballgame.
It is interesting how we've all put Team Bliss up against Chiefs. Or maybe that's not really the interesting part. Maybe it's just more whether any of us are doubling down on who we do see taking first place. It would be nice to see both of them go to PCS, just how dominant they've been through this regular split. But I also do love a good underdog story. I love a good Cinderella story.
Yeah, divided again like we were in today in our predictions, right? Double Bliss to win it all
yeah.
with double
Yeah,
Chiefs.
Web Bliss,
Yeah, Web Bliss
to win it all as well, right? So still just the confliction on us believing they are the best teams in the region and nobody else being able to hold a candle to them.
Never doubted them. Power rankings from day one. We're day oneers.
No, that is true.
You're not.
I'm a bandwagoner and he's a day oneer. But either way, we
We're
still
all
have
just
the
Why
faith
Not
in
fans
it.
over here. We're all just
Why
Why
Not
Not
10?
fans. This
Why Not
couch,
10?
we just love Why
Why are
Not.
you plugging him? He
I was
plugs
going to
himself enough.
say, he's got free advertising now.
You
He's
don't
got
need to do this
He's got his
more.
minions doing his
He's gonna get
business
promoted
for
to Why
him.
Not
It's a
15
pyramid
after.
scheme.
I told you, you gave me the elevator pitch, and now I'm on board.
He said it
I'm
was
an
MLM.
investor.
He didn't
Yeah,
say
he-
pyramid scheme.
Oh,
he said
sorry.
MLM. Those are
Multi-level
just
marketing.
different.
In this shape. So
LCO
you recruit
10.
3 people to use 1 or 10. Hey, mummy, you heard of this great discount code? You could use 1 or 10. Why don't you tell your friends?
Mum, I bought Tupperware. Do you need Tupperware? It's totally not a pyramid scheme. It's just Tupperware.
At this point, we should ask Bliss to give us an LCO 10, and the talent, we all just get a cut of it as well.
Just do a live pitch
And
on
I'm sure the
Broadcast
LCO is
8.
listening
Hey,
to
Brandon,
us.
you're
Yeah,
Yeah,
listening?
they're like, stop
Get 'em off.
talking. Can we actually mute
Get 'em
their
out.
microphones? Chiefs also have to get us on board. But look, that's ages down the path in terms of that finals, what we're really going to see. If there's going to be upsets along the way. Max, you have your faith in Mammoth. If that's where the upset's going to be, who was yours against Kim? Direwolves?
No, I believe that PGG
No,
can cause a few upsets.
PGG, yours was Direwolves.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
That's crazy. What was yours?
PGG, yes.
I think you and me are aligned, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's who I thought that
We
upset
all
could be
believe in
from.
a different lower bracket run.
That makes it exciting, doesn't it?
and none of
Except for
them get to the
Vertex.
finals anyway. So what does it matter?
All for naught, huh? All for
Oh,
naught.
All for naught.
Go
Put
on,
it like
son.
that.
You tried.
Participation
Better
award.
next
You
time,
got
Timmy.
the game, buddy. Great work, mate. Wasn't a sweep.
Hey, look, you know, the advantage of not making it to the finals is that you get to do the watch party over at Fortress. You get to have fun with everyone over there.
True.
Silver lining.
Yeah, you can cry into your drink. You can cry into your free drink. That's God, I feel like I won.
Could have been us. Could have been
Yeah,
us.
real winners right here. Sip of my mocktail, some my mojito.
Let me find a computer right now. I'm playing games. I don't
Get me
even want to
on.
watch this
There's going to
LCO
be some
final.
dangerous
Yeah.
solo queue like going on
Oh
there.
my gosh.
Imagine two teams just got eliminated at full 5-stack flex against each other, like
Nah.
in Fortress.
That is sweaty. Let's have a bit more of a deeper dive, though, into the team matchups for those brackets. Bliss versus Direwolves. That will be one of the upper bracket matchups. We all put Team Bliss for this, and you said, Max, that you would favor it actually as a 2-0, that Direwolves wouldn't even take a game of Bliss.
Yeah, Bliss, they just play fast. Direwolves play too slow, and I think that even if they do go even into the mid game, Bliss are just the better team. I think jungle pathing for me is going to be the standout here because Shaka has shown he has been aggressive at times, kind of similar to Why Not, but I think that Why Not's just going to run rings around him. Solo lanes, you can't even rely on Zoranus, right, because Lived is able to stand up to him, and I think that the bot lane is just going to be a canyon in this series.
I think the big stand-up point for me is I'd love to see the evolution of Chaz go back to some picks that contest some of the champions that Daystar has. We know that Chaz is a phenomenal Akali player as well. Would love to see that one come out, give him a little bit more agency to try and be that true carry. Obviously, Shaka's shown that he can play the Nautilus, so a lot more supportive tendencies. We saw Prater what he did on the Kaiser, bring that one back out the wardrobe with 15 kills to its name as well, right? So I'm thinking if there's ever a world in which you can look to try and shut down the spot lane, Prater and Decoy, a bot lane duo that have been around forever as well. So I feel like there's definitely a window of opportunity. I'm not sure if I would go for 2-0. I want to say it would go the full 3 games. I'm always a believer that the
same.
series can go the whole distance.
Yeah.
But I would just like to see the Direwolves just up the ante a little bit and bring back some old picks that have worked so well for them in the past.
I want to say that Direwolves do have the potential to get one game off of Team Bliss. I do still side with Team Bliss taking it, but I believe that the way that we saw the flex champs come out for Shaka, the way that we were able to see Chiefs really prioritize top lane and shut down Lived is a different avenue that I think Direwolves are capable of implementing, pending on what champions they get for Shaka. So, and as well as, the Kaiser coming out of the woodworks, out of the closet for Prater too. So I think they have a recipe. Will they get it all in one game? Will they be able to execute it to the same level as Chiefs? I'm not too sure, but I think there is that potential for that one game to go that way.
Dornish is just going to come out and just lock in a team.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
You reckon, yeah.
he could do that.
Brayden.
I do
He
agree
could do
with you,
anything.
though. I think that they can absolutely take a game, but
Yeah.
like the difficulty to pretty much echo what you said is they need to be able to not just have like one star carry, right? I think that Chaz and Prater can go toe-to-toe with their respective opponents, right? I actually think they can. Chaz, when he's playing his best, can beat anyone in the league, but they need to both be on to compensate for what is potentially a team difference right now, which is very clear that Bliss are operating as a better team. So if you have those two playing really well, Shaka's just going to support them, and then Zoranus can win his lane. I think that's the recipe for Direwolves.
All right, so we've talked about the potential for them, how we think the Team Bliss and Direwolves are going to match up. But let's talk about our next matchup that will be happening in that playoffs. It's Chiefs up against Mammoth. This one, I actually really don't know what to expect, mainly because I don't even know who's going to be playing in jungle for Chiefs.
And when I look at this matchup, and this is why I think it's so Chiefs' favorite, is you look at what are Mammoth's strong points. Okay, top carry. He's not going to do anything into Biopanther, right? Biopanther, great at absorbing pressure. Mid lane, Dajong's been the weak point. Kisse, best mechanical mid, outside of Daystar in the league, going to be putting a lot of pressure on him. And then the bot lane, incredibly stable as well, right? So Mammoth is a team who thrives off chaos, who thrives off getting stuff happening early. But the Chiefs have the caliber of player to just stand in the face of that and not deliver.
Yeah, and I think if you run your mind back to when they actually went up against each other, Mammoth were taking all these games off originally off against PGG, up against Bliss. They come into the Chiefs to get swept in a 2-0 fashion in 20 minutes flat, right? So it was a very clear case that we can definitely absorb all the aggression you have and sort of respect the skills that you have in those positions, but we're not allowing you to run away with the lane and top lane or, be that hyper-aggressive bot lane that we've seen Cheon and Yusun, come to show, right? So I want to say I'm aligned and I feel like Chiefs can 2-0 this.
I will say, though, for the side of Mammoth, right, maybe Dajong has been the weak link, not really lately. Like that hasn't really existed as much. Sully, we looked at him at the start of the season, like clear weakness, only plays carries. Not really anymore. Now he's playing the tanks as well, the utility. The Poppy had like a really good game on that one just earlier this week. And then the bot lane being hyper aggressive, I think can easily, and you saw it today against the Chiefs, deal with Alidoric and Raze in that 2v2. So I think Mammoth, it's not that they don't have tools or ways to deal with their opponents, I think that they can. Tien as well, when he's playing his best, looks like a different player.
Yep.
When he's playing his worst, also looks like a very different player.
Yeah.
So again, if they show up, if they all play their best, Mammoth can take games, if not a series, from the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think the growth for Mammoth has been like exponential. They've really hit a whole new level, a ceiling cap that we didn't even know that they really had. But it is just, is it going to show up against Chiefs, and is it going to be enough? Are enough pieces of the puzzle going to be able to click together on that day and across a best of 3? It's not a best of 2. No one walks away in a tie and you get to rematch later down the track again. It is a bit more of a do or die, and you're going to have to either go the distance or be explosive enough to close it out quickly. That is going to be the upper bracket matchups, though. We don't know what's going to happen in the lower brackets. We can't really discuss too much down there. But that's going to be a really fun way to start off our Monday with those 2 upper bracket matches. I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to say about it.
I guess just really sets the tone, and then it means for the likes of PGG and Vertex lingering in the lower bracket, what they're sort of waiting to expect. I'm first of all curious to see what kind of lineup Vertex bring to the table, having brought in the likes of Seaman and Goodman.
Goodman.
Seaman
Good
and
man.
Goodman.
The good man.
Seaman and Goodman.
See ya, man.
Bringing the duo of those together, right? They've been long-standing, so I'm curious to sort of see what their best starting lineup looks like to try and give themselves that fighting chance when they are literally just 3 games or best of 3 to make your first playoffs debut. Obviously, there's no weak link here when you're saying who's going to drop on down. It's only going to be strong competitors, and then for PGG, for all the credit, for all the scrims, for all the practice, for other regions and yada yada. Obviously, the main concern that we've heard from Chippies is that they're looking for that strong leadership, that one person to make that decisive shot call.
Yeah, true.
If it clicks, I mean, they've got those back-to-back 2-0s. I
Yep.
mean, there's a degree of hope that they're coming into form at the right time as well. So, hence why I'm a believer.
And anything else, Max, as we close out our regular split now and look towards playoffs?
RIP Vertex. Anyone who plays them, it's just tough, right? I think in the whole regular season, they are the outliers. But to me, I like your point about PGG, and I think this is going to be the test of they did not place where they wanted to in Split 1 playoffs, right? A very early elimination there. And here, they've seemingly fixed some consistency issues, right? Having those 2 sweeps in the previous weeks, but now there's no room for error, right? You are starting in that lower bracket. You can't have an off series. You can't have an off day. So they're really going to need to show that they have gotten into form and they have fixed these issues that have been plaguing them this whole split.
And of course, Russ, I'm going to give you the time, your little spotlight as well.
Sure. Everyone, all split has been saying it's a 2-team race. Every single team, even Chiefs and Bliss, have said it's a 2-team race. But I feel like coming into this playoffs, it doesn't feel that way. Like, it does genuinely feel like, unfortunate for Vertex, it's a really tough run for them to make. But it does feel like there's teams that'll challenge them.
Yep.
There are teams that can take games from them. And if you can take a game from the Chiefs, you can take a series from the Chiefs. You can take a game from Bliss, you can take that series. And it may not play out the way that anyone's expecting.
Yeah, you just got to have confidence in yourself. I'm sorry, I giggled because I don't remember who you guys were interviewing, but someone was like, it's not a 2-team race, obviously.
It's actually an 8-team league.
Oh, there's actually 8 teams. Clearly, it's
Thanks,
not 2
Bliss.
teams. It's like, awesome, bro. We couldn't have done it without you, could we? And we obviously couldn't do next Monday without a schedule. Let's have a look at it so you guys know exactly when these matchups will be starting, because the fact that it is 2 best of 3s does mean it will be starting an hour earlier. So the first matchup will be between Bliss and Direwolves at 5 p.m. and Chiefs versus Mammoth at 8 p.m. So if you guys don't want to miss a single game, if you don't want to miss the pre-show, make sure that you're tuning in an hour earlier than the times we have been for the regular splits. We'll be on your screens at roughly 4:30 p.m. And let me tell you, you don't want to miss a single thing. You don't want to miss our insights, everything we have to do, and all the fun that goes along with the playoffs.
Definitely cooking some stuff up.
Yeah, we are. I'm on this.
There is some cooking.
There is cooking. Is it going to be tasty? I can't tell you, but there is definitely cooking. And look, we're going to close it out today. It's been a fun day. Whilst a short one, only one best of 1 tiebreaker. It was a banger of a game. If you guys didn't watch it, if you're only tuning in now, I'd suggest going back and watching it, refreshing yourselves for everything that is going to happen over in the players. But for now, it's goodbye from us, and we'll see you early on Monday.
The 1-0's in a bit of trouble right now, but the Frozen Tomb knocked it up with the grand entrance, and Why Not is dead. That is the target Chiefs on repeat are always hunting for. With that ultimate denied, or better smite, objectives become that much more impactful. Charm, hook, Aladoric lives, but then gets killed from a fadeaway by Limes. Across the wall we go, Liv taking Kevy on a bit of a magical journey, but Kevy becomes the Blitzcrank, and yet again just barely misses the hook. the charm on the after end does connect with Bipam, but that's not the target you're after.
This time, Chiefs actually getting the better as Glib's going.
They are certainly looking for it. Kevy, he's got nothing left in the tank now. He is going to fall on down. But Kisney flashing forward, two-man Ring of Frost, and the disengage away. But Lemus is just too strong. You said how much of an uphill battle it would be here for Raze. But he can't do much to answer back for this one. By goes Golden, lives on the flank. Intopia Strike drags back Kevy. He's got the Guardian Angel, but needs a bit of divine intervention to try and bring them back from this one, because it's Kaiser in the mid lane just raining down hot fire, bring down whoever they want right now. Kisei's going to cast the ultimate on his head, live for as long as he can, but he cannot survive. 2 kills for Lemus. He is godlike inside the Lancer Spit. They will become invulnerable, they will survive, they will live, and they will simply out-execute.
Oh, Daystar.
As Daystar tries to be creative with it, tries to make sure the Lemus can go crazy as well. And they will look to say that we are the ones in the driving seat. We are the ones that will win this series.